Chapter 605. Heaven Realm was much bigger than Yu Yang imagined. Even though Yu Yang had long known that the Heaven Realm was vast and boundless, he had never imagined that the Heaven Realm was actually this big. To ordinary people, the soaring dragon continent was very big. Excluding the oceans and uninhabited areas, it could accommodate 3 big countries and dozens of small countries. If a person wanted to walk from the east to the west of the soaring dragon continent, it would take at least 100 years. Even if it was a bird flying long distance, it would take several months. But to Tong Tian Tower, the soaring dragon continent was just a very small place. For example, it was estimated to be the difference between a grain of rice placed in Baishar City, and the two were compared. The first floor of Tong Tian Tower was not big. It only included the soaring dragon continent, demon abyss and heaven stairway. But with every level up, the space would expand by more than 10 times. Adding the teleportation circle to other continents like the soaring dragon continent and demon abyss, as well as the different dimensions in each floor, the whole Tong Tian Tower was so big that ordinary people could not imagine it. The entire soaring dragon continent could not be found on the map of Tong Tian Tower. On the map of Tong Tian Tower and below, the soaring dragon continent was not much bigger than a sesame seed. If it was on the map of Tong Tian Tower, even the first floor of Tong Tian Tower, including soaring dragon, demon abyss and heaven stairway, was only the size of a sesame seed. Such a huge Tong Tian Tower, compared to Heaven Realm, could not be compared at all. Ah, what the hell! Yu Yang bought a map that was thicker than sea-high. According to the shop owner, this was the simplest map of Heaven Realm. The real map of Heaven Realm was said to be as big as 1 square kilometer, more than 100 meters tall, and had 1,000,000 pages. Until he bought this map, Yu Yang found out that Heaven Realm was actually divided into Heaven Realm and Heaven Realm. Heaven Realm, one must have the strength of Heaven rank to enter. There was no information in the map, but the shop owner with a mouth bigger than a toad's kindly introduced that Heaven Realm was the core area of the 4 great divine realms and the central divine realm. The conditions to enter were very strict. First, one must have a grimoire. Second, one must be Heaven rank. If these 2 conditions were not met, one would never be able to become the Lord of Heaven Realm and live in Heaven Realm. Of course, if they were recruited as mercenaries or special talents to work there, and if the feudal lord was willing to fully guarantee that they would stay there for less than 3 months, they would barely be able to get a visa. I want to ask, how far is it from here to the Western Heaven Realm? Yu Yang flew around the ancient battlefield ruins for 3 days and 3 nights, but he still couldn't reach the edge. Fortunately, he found an abandoned teleportation formation and entered it. He didn't know where he was teleported to. After searching for a long time in the forest, he finally found this small town. Now, even if he bought a map, Yu Yang couldn't find the location of the Western Heaven Realm in a short time with a simple atlas the size of sea-high. Western Heaven Realm? The big-mouthed shop owner suddenly became distressed. He used his hands to grab the few strands of hair he had. Just as he was about to become bald, he suddenly remembered. We are in the Southern Heaven Realm. How far is it from the Western Heaven Realm? What a headache, I can't calculate it. However, I remember a very old legend. It is said that there used to be a group of very persistent lunatics. They swore that they would fly from the easternmost part of the Eastern Heaven Realm to the westernmost part of the Western Heaven Realm to complete this unprecedented feat in the end. They failed. Yu Yang estimated that flying would be difficult, so teleportation would be more likely. No, they succeeded. To be precise, their great-great-great-grandchildren successfully completed their last wishes. They spent 100,000 years flying from the easternmost part of the Eastern Heaven Realm to the westernmost part of the Western Heaven Realm. The big-mouthed shop owner replied. Pfft. Yu Yang was drinking water, but he spat it out. Actually, they are still the Lightning Swallow clan who are the best at flying. If it were any other clan, 100,000 years would definitely not be enough. The big-mouthed shop owner was very sure. What about using the teleportation formation? Yu Yang felt that using the method of flying was simply stupid. If you don't rest in between and go from teleportation formation to teleportation formation, following the best teleportation route, it will probably take a month to teleport between more than 10,000 teleportation formations. If you take a little rest in between or queue up, it will probably take at least 3 months. Half a year is the safest time to teleport. Many cross-border merchants travel back and forth for a year. The big-mouthed shop owner also said that he used to travel like this in the past, but because the teleportation fee was too expensive, there was almost no profit, so he gave up. Yu Yang was speechless after hearing this. Actually, there are also interdomain ultra-long distance teleportation formations, but only Heaven stage rankers can use them. I estimate that it will take a week to reach the Western Heaven realm. There are also interdomain teleportation formations that can reach in a day. That can only be used by Heaven stage level 5 rankers and above, and they are all in the upper realm. There is no such thing in the lower realm. The big-mouthed shop owner added enthusiastically as he looked at Yu Yang's confident movements of scattering magic crystals. Heaven realm also used gold coins, but it was different from Tong Tian Towers. This kind of Heaven realm gold coin had a unique Heaven rune, and its energy was comparable to a level 6 magic crystal. Although Yu Yang could forge it, he couldn't bear to waste so many magic crystals. When he came to this small town, he would rather use magic crystals instead of gold coins than to exchange them for Heaven realm gold coins. In his opinion, although these Heaven realm gold coins had enough energy, they couldn't be absorbed by beasts. To him, they were simply trash, far less useful than level 6 magic crystals. What made people even more frustrated was that the exchange rate between Heaven realm gold coins and level 6 magic crystals was actually 100. Not only was the exchange rate extremely low, there was also a 10% exchange tax. What made people speechless the most was that they couldn't use gold coins to exchange for magic crystals. Just this point alone made Yu Yang despise them from the bottom of his heart. Yu Yang was someone who would never suffer a loss. He would never waste magic crystals to exchange for those beautiful but useless Heaven realm gold coins. Furthermore, after killing He Hu, Yu Yang found a sparkling diamond card in He Hu's storage bracelet. This was a very advanced service in Heaven realm. One card could travel all over Heaven realm. Tong Tian Tower didn't have this kind of service. As a water elder of the central shrine, He Hu should have a lot of savings in his diamond card. It was just that Yu Yang was worried that the people in the central shrine would find out if he used it, so he didn't dare to take it out. This was definitely a wise move. After bidding farewell to the big-mouthed shop owner, he came to a very small mercenary guild. When he raised his head, he saw that there was a huge bounty for him and Ji Zun at the most eye-catching place. The Central Shrine and another unknown organization had put a bounty on Yu Yang and Ji Zun. Yu Yang's bounty was 100 million. This number didn't surprise Yu Yang, but Ji Zun's bounty was as high as 10 billion. This made Yu Yang completely shocked. 10 billion? Although Ji Zun's bounty was scary enough, she was only ranked 999th in the bounty list of Heaven Realm rankers, just barely squeezing into the top 1,000. Yu Yang didn't dare to guess what kind of abnormal bounty was in front of her. Luckily, Queen Vivian Li's bounty had given Yu Yang some foundation, otherwise he would have been scared stiff. Actually, Ji Zun's bounty was still very impressive. Her bounty was the highest in the Heaven Realm in the past 1,000 years, and her ranking rose the fastest. Because of this, all the mercenary guilds in the Heaven Realm publicized her bounty. As for Yu Yang, who went public with them, he was just a small addition. This was because Yu Yang's 100 million bounty was ranked outside of the 1 million bounty. In the Heaven Realm's top 10,000 bounty, it was impossible for him to enter. Yu Yang really wanted to see who was in the top 1,000. Unfortunately, The old man in the mercenary guild said that he needed to pay 100 gold to investigate anyone. If he wanted the entire list, he needed 100,000 gold and proof of being a heaven-ranked level 5 ranker. Aren't you cheating me? Yu Yang thought that if a normal person had 100,000 gold, they would have already washed up and gone to sleep. Why would they still be a mercenary? Register as a mercenary? 1 gold coin per person, replaced with magic crystals? We only accept good quality magic crystals. We don't want those that are too inferior. What is this? Wyvern's magic crystal? That's too bad. Forget it. Looking at the two of you, I'll barely count it as 2 gold coins. In fact, it's only worth 1.5. The old man saw Yu Yang and Anan standing together hand in hand, like a painting, like a celestial couple. Thus, he was merciful and accepted the Wyvern's magic crystal that Yu Yang handed over. Wyvern's magic crystal could be exchanged for at least a few hundred gold coins in Tong Tian Tower, but it couldn't even be exchanged for 2 here. Yu Yang was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. This was too cheating. If it wasn't for the fact that one needed to have an identity to use the teleportation circle, such as being a disciple of a sect or a freelance mercenary, he wouldn't be bothered to waste his magic crystal if he didn't register as a mercenary. Thank you, old man. Anan had stayed in the grimoire world for a few days and had just come out. She was in a good mood and beamed with joy as she thanked the old man. What? I just became an adult today. This long beard is a symbol of my maturity. The old man said that he had just become an adult, making Yu Yang and Anan speechless. I'm really sorry. I didn't know, please forgive me. In order to smoothly register as a mercenary, Anan hurriedly apologized. For the sake of your sincere apology, I'll forgive you. The prematurely aged old man waved his hand carelessly. Yu Yang almost pulled out his Tao Tai blade and killed him instantly. Fortunately, Anan held his hand. This was a journey of love, not a journey of murder. She didn't want to see blood paving the way. Seeing that the little girl was in a good mood, Yu Yang didn't want to spoil her mood. The old man, that made Yu Yang very unhappy, took out a pen and paper. At the same time, he ordered the card master to prepare and asked, "What's your name?" "Isi." "Only 2 words? Looks like you're not a noble." "Alright, your race, human?" "So you're a human, you look really weird." "Gender, female?" "You're a female?" "Do all human females look like you?" "To be honest, you don't look that good." "You meow." Yu Yang was furious. It was fine if he registered, but he even made a comment. Did he think he was an expert who needed a beating? It's okay, it's okay. His temper isn't that good. Anan hurriedly snatched the brick from Yu Yang's hand. This specially made brick was almost smashed by Yu Yang on the head of the old man. You guys have never registered before. You're all level 1 mercenaries. Your strength is very low. I think you guys definitely don't have one, but I still want to ask. The old man that needed a beating casually asked, "You guys have that, summoning grimoire? Do you guys have summoning grimoires?" "Forget it, pretend I didn't ask. You guys definitely don't have one. I won't ask, lest you guys feel inferior." "Who said I don't have one? I do." Anan was also angered by this old man's arrogant attitude. Originally, she wanted to say that she didn't have a grimoire so that she wouldn't be in the limelight. But this old man was too infuriating. She blurted out, "I do." "What?" That old man looked like he was struck by lightning. He stood there in a daze, as if he had turned into a puppet. His jaw almost dropped to his feet. "You really have a grimoire? You really have a summoning grimoire?" The old man reacted and hurriedly asked. His words were like a bomb that had been dropped in the mercenary guild. Everyone was in an uproar. First, it was the mercenaries who were sitting in a corner and whispering to each other. They were so shocked that they fell from their chairs. It was a complete mess. It was a complete mess. There were also bartenders who blankly poured their drinks over the heads of the mercenaries who were about to receive their drink. But the mercenaries who received their drinks did not seem to notice at all. They only stared blankly at Anan. That surprised gaze was as if they had seen a monster. Chapter 606. Following that, the whole mercenary guild was in a mess. Countless people scrambled over and surrounded Yu Yang and Anan. There was a mercenary uncle with a stubble beard, a white and fat bartender, a drunkard with a head full of alcohol, a card maker with a pointy head like a grasshopper, a prematurely aged receptionist. There were many layers of people inside and outside the crowd, making it impossible for even a drop of water to pass through. If not for Yu Yang's protection in front, Anan would probably be scared out of her wits. She might even summon her grimoire and order the hallucination butterfly demon to attack. Get lost, what do you want? Yu Yang knew that he was in trouble. He knew that it was difficult for Heaven Realm rankers to contract grimoires, but he did not expect such an intense reaction. If he had asked the big-mouthed shop owner a few more questions, he would not have made such a mistake. In the Heaven Realm, there was no need to talk about unintelligent life forms or special life forms. Even intelligent life forms only had a 1 in a billion chance of contracting a grimoire. If it was before Yu Yang transmigrated, there would only be 1 or 2 grimoires in the entire Huaxia dynasty. There were only 6 or 7 grimoires in the entire Earth. How could people not go crazy? So when these mercenaries heard that this little human girl had a grimoire, they were all so excited that they could not control themselves. In the Heaven Realm, those who had a grimoire could be called God's beloved. They were all nurtured by various sections. Towards Yu Yang's question, the prematurely aged old man kept smiling. Cough, we have eyes but could not see, cough cough, we did not mean to offend you. We just wanted to see a grimoire. It's a pity that I have lived for more than 200 years, half of my life, yet I have never seen a grimoire. Little girl, can you summon it and let us all see? Yes, yes. A large group of people echoed. They all squeezed out a smile to show their friendliness, but that kind of fanatical expression and ugly appearance made people look more like robbers. Anan was so scared that her face turned pale. She tightly grabbed onto Yu Yang's arm. Yu Yang shouted, "Scram! Who cares if you've seen it or not? If you continue to surround us, don't blame me for killing you." Those people looked at each other in dismay. Firstly, they felt apologetic for scaring Anan. Secondly, they suspected that Anan might not have a summoning grimoire, so they might have heard wrongly, or the other party might have just faked it. One must know that in order to show off, many people would pretend to have a grimoire to show that they were different from others. On top of that, Yu Yang had a bad temper. Many people really took a few steps back and slightly opened up the encirclement. They hoped to figure out the truth of the matter first, and they hoped that someone would stand up and say something. In fact, these people were all above the innate realm. They were stronger than Yu Yang and Anan's current strength. However, they were used to being at the bottom, so they didn't think that they were stronger than Yu Yang and Anan. They were more like timid commoners, not robbers. This kind of thing, if it were in Skysplit Tower, it would absolutely not be like this. In Skysplit Tower, people with innate strength were always very arrogant. However, in Heaven Realm, it was a completely different concept. Among the intelligent beings, many races were born very strong. Ordinary adults would at least have the strength of innate level 1. Only a small number of slaves would be weaker than innate. However, Heaven Realm and Skysplit Tower's strength were different. The innates here did not have summoning grimoires, so they were not called innates. They were called Earth Rank Warriors, which corresponded to Heaven Rank Warriors. These Earth Rank Warriors, whose strength was equivalent to innates, were born with very strong strength. However, their potential was surprisingly low. Some races, after reaching adulthood, could not improve for the rest of their lives. It was completely fixed. As for wanting to contract a summoning grimoire, that was even more of a dream. Generally, they could not be compared, but in a one-on-one fight, or comparing growth potential, Innates in Skysplit Tower could completely defeat Heaven Realm warriors of the same level. Plop! The prematurely aged old man suddenly knelt down, tears streaming down his face as he begged. I really have never seen a summoning grimoire in my life. I still don't know what it looks like. If I don't see it this time, maybe I will be like my grandfather and my father, unable to see a summoning grimoire until they die. That would be such a pity. Can you satisfy my wish before I die? Let me see it. Are you going to die? Inan's sympathy was aroused. She felt that this old man was quite pitiful. Not yet, in a few hundred years. The old man's face reddened. He himself felt that what he said just now was a little exaggerated, so he quickly added, "Although I won't die for a while, I really have never seen a summoning grimoire before. Everyone here can testify." Yes, we have never seen a summoning grimoire before. That's right, that guy used to boast that he had seen a summoning grimoire before, but I exposed him later. Other than Big Mouth who sells groceries, no one else has seen that kind of rare thing before. Just let us take a look. If we see a summoning grimoire, we will have the confidence to brag and drink with others in the future. Little girl, how about I introduce you to our Nujiang sect, Forget about your trashy Nujiang sect. Even your sect leader doesn't have a grimoire, and you still want to recruit her? Isn't this a waste of time? In my opinion, little girl should enter the Waterfall City's Heavenly Waterfall sect. The Heavenly Waterfall sect leader is a heaven-ranked ranker. He has a silver grimoire. Most importantly, the Heavenly Waterfall sect leader is thirsty for talents. If little girl is willing to enter the Heavenly Waterfall sect, she will inherit his legacy, take over the Heavenly Waterfall sect, and rule over the Waterfall City. This is all a matter of time. A large group of people talked at once, talking non-stop. When they were talking excitedly, they almost started fighting, because everyone had their own recommendations. Some people rushed outside and directly ran to the teleportation circle at the other side of the town, reporting to their sect's elders. Seeing that the situation was not good, Yu Yang hurriedly brought Inan back to the grimoire world. The two of them looked at each other for a long time, feeling that this kind of thing was really strange, and laughed out loud. Luckily this was a small town, otherwise there would be more people watching. Yu Yang decided to ignore those guys and rest for a few hours, waiting for them to disperse before going out. He did not immediately use teleportation to escape. Firstly, he was not familiar with the terrain, and secondly, escaping would make him look weak, which could easily attract people to commit crimes. Yu Yang did not care about killing those guys with fanatical eyes, but Inan definitely did not want the first romantic stop in the Heaven Realm to be filled with bloodshed. Forget it, let's give this little girl a good mood in love. Seeing that Yu Yang was so considerate, Inan happily gave him a kiss, and then went back to proudly record this matter in her Heaven Realm travel notes. On a certain day, in a certain small town in the Heaven Realm, such a fun thing happened. Yu Yang flipped through the 500 pages of Heaven Realm map for a long time. He discovered that the Heaven Realm was divided into the North, South, East, and West realms. Each realm was divided into 100 domains. Each domain was divided into 100 districts. Each district was divided into 100 continents. Each continent was divided into 100 countries. Each country was divided into 100 territories. Each territory was divided into 100 cities, and each city was divided into 100 towns. In the Heaven Realm, forget about cities, even a town's jurisdiction was much bigger than the largest city in the Soaring Dragon continent, Shangjing. In short, the Heaven Realm was so big that it was unimaginable. This simple map made Yu Yang's eyes dazzled, and he felt dizzy. After spending a few hours, he finally found the Heaven Realm gate to the Western Heaven Realm. On that page of the map, there was a small black dot, marked Tong Tian Tower. If he wanted more detailed information, it seemed that he had to buy a detailed map of the Heaven Realm gate. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to obtain more information. After sleeping in and eating supper, Yu Yang felt that it was about time. Even the most patient people would have already dispersed, because Yu Yang had returned to the grimoire world and stayed there for a full 10 hours. Let's go. Inan changed her clothes and gently pulled Yu Yang's big hand with a sweet smile on her face. Let's go to another place to register, but you must not say that you have a grimoire. Yu Yang didn't want to be surrounded by people again. That feeling was very unpleasant. When he and Inan appeared, they were completely stunned. This was because there were thousands of people waiting for the two of them. When they saw the two of them appear, the entire audience cheered and applauded like a storm. Many experts with the strength of Earth rank level 7 and level 8 stood in a line like soldiers. In front of them, there were two heaven rank rankers. As for those people at the beginning, like the prematurely aging old man and the pointy grasshopper-like card master, they all knelt respectfully to welcome them. Even though the two heaven rank rankers had already raised their hands, indicating for everyone to calm down. However, there were still some people who couldn't help but scream, "It really is a gold grimoire. Oh my god, she has the legendary gold grimoire, I'm going to faint!" Actually, Inan's summoning grimoire had already been upgraded to platinum rank. However, those people knew that in order to return to the grimoire world, it had to be at least a gold grimoire, so they all guessed that Inan's grimoire was a gold grimoire. Of the two heaven rank rankers, one was a middle-aged uncle with a mustache. His appearance and temperament were not bad, and he was the same type of person as Jun Wuyu. They both had the aura of being in a high position for a long time. The other was a monster with 4 arms and 3 eyes. But it wasn't a tiger man. It was a race that Yu Yang didn't recognize. "Welcome, welcome." The middle-aged uncle with a mustache stepped forward and saluted. "I am Flying Waterfall City's master, Bai Ho. I heard from my disciple that you only have a bronze grimoire and wanted to take you in as my disciple. I didn't expect that your summoning grimoire has already reached gold rank and above. I am ashamed. Esteemed guests coming from afar, we should welcome you with open arms. But can we take a look at your grimoire?" The heaven rank monster was also quite polite. He first summoned his silver grimoire. When the silver grimoire was summoned, everyone cheered. The applause was like thunder. That Flying Waterfall City's master Bai Ho also smiled and summoned his grimoire. His grimoire was also silver, but it was high rank. It was a level higher than the heaven rank monster's silver rank intermediate rank. Their intention was very simple. They saw that both of them were grimoire holders, so they wanted to compare. In the heaven realm, grimoire holders really had this kind of habit. Inan looked at Yu Yang. After getting his tacit approval, she returned the greeting. "Everyone wants to see the summoning grimoire, that's not a problem. But you must agree to let us leave freely after you have seen it. You cannot use any reason to stop us." She saw that these people didn't have any evil intentions. They just wanted to compare their strength and make friends with a grimoire. Naturally, she wasn't afraid. Moreover, if these people were to make trouble, she would attack together with Yu Yang. She wouldn't care about the romance anymore. Although the middle-aged uncle and the monster were heaven rank, it wasn't a problem for Yu Yang, who could even kill Thousand Goblin King. After getting everyone's affirmation, Inan smiled mischievously at Yu Yang. She beautifully stretched out her jade-like wrist and lightly tapped with her fingers. She elegantly summoned her grimoire. Suddenly, a strange light flashed. After everyone saw Inan's platinum grimoire, they all fell into a suffocating petrified state, including the two heaven rank rankers who were trying their best to maintain their poise. 3 hours later, Inan, who had walked out of the teleportation circle, was still laughing non-stop. Her laughter was like a silver bell, resounding in the night sky, drifting far away with the wind, her beautiful voice lingering in the air. Even Yu Yang's face was full of smiles. Because even he didn't expect that the other party would have such an unusual reaction after seeing the platinum grimoire. Originally, he thought that there would be a bloody battle, but it wasn't. When he thought of the two heaven-rank rankers wanting to acknowledge Anan as their master on the spot and learn the secret method to upgrade their grimoire, Yu Yang couldn't help but laugh. Heaven Realm is really too fun, hee. However, when we register as mercenaries in the future, we really can't report that we have a grimoire anymore. Otherwise, someone will give us a bunch of gifts that we don't even need. Anan held on to Yu Yang's arm and walked far away. She looked back at the teleportation circle and saw that no one was chasing after them. She heaved a sigh of relief. They finally went back. I thought they would send us to the Western Heaven Realm. Oh right, City Master Bai Ho said that in this territory, Rainbow City is the most beautiful. Why don't we go to Rainbow City to play? As you wish, my beautiful bride. Yu Yang cupped her little face and kissed her on her jade lips. Chapter 607. The distance between Flying Waterfall City and Rainbow City was more than 2,000 kilometers. Because the two cities were not friends, there was no teleportation circle between the two cities. They could only go to Zhangma City, which was the transfer station, and change to an airship. Actually, Yu Yang and Anan could teleport even closer, but Anan wanted to sit on the luxurious Starry Sky cruise that the master of Waterfall City had recommended. This kind of super luxurious Starry Sky cruise was a kind of super large airship that could accommodate tens of thousands of passengers. The interior was magnificently decorated. On the deck, there were even artificial lakes and beaches, as well as water amusement parks and theme parks. Those who were active could participate in rock climbing competitions and surf passionately. Those who liked peace could also quietly watch elegant stage plays. This kind of luxurious Starry Sky cruise was the most representative means of transportation in Rainbow City. Almost every tourist that came to Rainbow City would take a ride on it. You're cheating me. Yu Yang did not realize that he was actually very poor until he reached Heaven Realm. The magic crystals that he had obtained from Wyvern Valley were almost all used up, but it was still not enough. The lowest ticket to sit on the luxurious Starry Sky cruise cost 100 gold. 2 people would cost 200 gold. For the penniless Yu Yang, seeing the magic crystals being given away like water, he had the urge to pull out his sword and rob them. 100 gold to sit on a broken ship? Moreover, on the ship, the cost of food and drinks had to be calculated separately. In order to coax the little girl, in order to pick up girls, Yu Yang threw caution to the wind. Anyway, the magic crystals were all robbed. If it was not enough, he would think of a way to rob more. After buying the ticket, they waited for another half an hour. Finally, the luxurious Starry Sky cruise appeared in the sky. At first, it was a black dot in the distance. It gradually became clearer and closer, becoming an unimaginably huge monster. When it reached the sky above Zhangma City, it actually cast a large area of the city under its shadow. Yu Yang estimated that the ship's width was at least 1,000 meters, and its length was more than 3 times that of its width. Yu Yang couldn't imagine how this huge building with more than 100 floors and a height of nearly 500 meters could float in the sky. Furthermore, it was flying at a very fast speed, comparable to a plane. The most amazing thing was that this huge ship was surrounded by a domain-type wind array. When it moved forward, it could transform the air into a gentle breeze. Countless passengers stood on the deck, facing the wind. Surprisingly, the wind only ruffled the tips of their hair and clothes. They were not affected by the high-speed wind at all. When the luxurious Starry Sky cruise ship stopped, the people on the ship and below the city all waved their hands and cheered. They also whistled to each other. A small airship was sent down from the giant ship to receive the guests boarding at Zhangma City. According to the convention, the nobles who spent 3,000 gold coins to buy a first-class cabin were the first to do so. Among them were the wealthy merchants who spent 1,000 gold on a mid-level luxury cabin. Those like Yu Yang and Anan, who had ordinary tickets, could only line up at the back and board the ship with a group of mercenaries in tattered clothes. Are you guys traveling to get married? On a honeymoon? A one-eyed dragon who was traveling with them asked teasingly when he saw Yu Yang and Yi Nan holding each other's hands sweetly. "Ah, not married yet, but soon," Inan answered shyly. "Congratulations, you two are a match made in heaven." One-eyed dragon took out a wine gourd and passed it to Yu Yang. Seeing that Yu Yang refused, he laughed and opened it. He took a big gulp and laughed. "Actually, when I was young, I was also handsome. Moreover, I was almost as handsome as you. Also, my wife was almost as beautiful as this young lady. Looking at the two of you, it's as if I'm looking at her and I back then." "Is that so?" Inan secretly laughed. Yu Yang was speechless. "Uncle, even if you want to put gold on your face, you shouldn't be like this, right? Forget about the one-eyed man, look at that old tree bark face, look at that half-beastman body, look at those big hands. You were also a handsome guy in the past? Seeing you in the middle of the night, I'm already secretly happy. Moreover, who would marry a half-beastman? Unless she was a barbarian or a Tauran. According to Fan Luan Tai's aesthetic standards, this one-eyed man might be a handsome guy, but according to humans' aesthetic standards, it was absolutely impossible. Yu Yang reckoned that unless the girl was blind, there was no way she would marry this one-eyed man. The surrounding mercenaries, seeing the one-eyed man strike up a conversation, all enthusiastically waved at Yu Yang, expressing their blessings. Someone even whistled. Their noisy attitude made the nobles in front of them frown. Towards Yu Yang and Inan, who had no family insignia or sect emblems, those arrogant nobles simply disdained everything. In their eyes, Yu Yang and Inan were just countryside farmers and village girls. Looking at them too much would lower their status. Bullshit. A skinny mercenary beside the one-eyed man sneered. "He's a big boss, don't talk nonsense." The one-eyed man saw the noble's bodyguard looking over, and quickly gave his companion a slap, then nodded and bowed, paying respect to the noble. Inan hated this kind of person the most, so she turned her face away and ignored him. On the other hand, Yu Yang slightly frowned, feeling that something was wrong. "Hurry up and board the ship, we can't wait for you peasant mercenaries. Do you know how much energy you're wasting by staying here for a second? It's basically heaven rank, you can't even afford it even if you sell your bodies. Hurry up, stop dilly-dallying." A crew member waved his hand, ordering Yu Yang and the others who had ordinary tickets to hurry up, then stood at attention, bowed, and used an especially grand etiquette to invite the nobles in front of them to board the ship. Another crew member had already laid out a red carpet, respectfully welcoming the arrogant nobles. As for Yu Yang and Inan, they pointed to another entrance. There was nothing there, and there was a guy holding a flashing halo, seemingly wanting to check his body to see if there were any illegal items. When inspecting the one-eyed man, this guy was very generous, even his trousers automatically took off, and he let out a loud fart, causing the inspector to hurriedly order him to scram. More than a dozen mercenaries, all passed without incident. Finally, it was Yu Yang and Inan's turn. "Come over here immediately, stand properly for me. You have to raise your hands high, put them on top of your head, face the side of the ship, and face me with your buttocks. I want to check if you have any contraband on your body." Many women use their bras and underwear to hide contraband, as cunning as foxes. "Come here, you have to be careful, don't let my detector ring, otherwise you'll suffer." When the inspector saw how beautiful Inan was, his saliva almost flowed out. Looking at the two's strength, they didn't seem to be strong, both of them were only Earth Stage Level 1, and he had the strength of Earth Stage Level 3, so he could definitely deal with the two of them. This inspector with a lewd smile on his face, in front of Yu Yang, stretched out his hairy big hand towards Inan. The thin mercenary seemed to be a little angry, but the one-eyed man pulled him back. The surrounding crew members seemed to be used to it, whistling, pretending not to see anything, and the nobles ignored it and left. The inspector's wretched and bullying hand unscrupulously stretched out. When it was still half a foot away from Inan, Yu Yang smiled, raised his hand, and the crescent moon flashed, chopping off the hand. Moreover, without waiting for the inspector to cry out in pain, he kicked the guy's pants. Almost everyone heard a shattering sound. Hearing this sound, the men couldn't help but be scared to the point that their bodies went soft, and they felt a chill between their legs. Even though the crew members immediately rushed over, Yu Yang still didn't stop attacking. He used his foot to step on the guy's crotch, and used the tip of his foot to grind and rub, as if he wouldn't stop until he trampled something into meat paste. Inan looked on quietly. She did not stop them. Instead, she felt that her hatred had been vented, because she was also angry in her heart. Towards scum who dared to be rude to her, towards trash who dared to challenge her dignity, she would never have the slightest bit of sympathy. Instead, she felt that the most severe punishment was the best way. A dog that bites doesn't bark. Oh my God, this kid is really ruthless. The one-eyed man looked at him, and sucked in a breath of cold air. Stop, quickly stop. A few crew members didn't dare to step forward, afraid that they would also be hit by Yu Yang's knife, and shouted from afar. Yu Yang turned a deaf ear to them. He picked up the examination instrument, and fiercely beat the inspector, who had already vomited blood and fainted, until there wasn't an inch of unscathed skin on the guy's body. The examination instrument was deformed, shattered, and could no longer be used. Yu Yang casually threw away the distorted examination instrument in his hand, and heavily spat on the inspector, who didn't look like a human. Then, he slowly looked at the crew members and revealed a bright smile. Who else wants to come up for inspection? His smile scared the crew members a few steps back. Even the one-eyed man shivered and repeatedly cried out, "Strange, this kid is very dangerous, everyone stay away from him, this kid can't be provoked." The few nobles looked at him as if they were looking at trash, and continued to walk away as if nothing had happened. If it wasn't for the slightly trembling thighs hidden under their robes, which made their pace slightly abnormal, they would really be fooled by their calmness and arrogance. In fact, they were also scared, but they pretended to look down on everything. In the distance, a few Earth-rank Level 5 cruise guards flew out. Leading them was an Earth-rank Level 7 leader. This guy was bald, and his whole body was darker than ink, but his two eyes were silver, without pupils. When he looked at people, he didn't have a point of view, as if he was a black stone statue. Without waiting for him to speak, a few crew members rushed to report the matter. Of course, they also added oil to the fire, and said a lot of bad things about Yu Yang, making Yu Yang look like a bloodthirsty lunatic. If he didn't beat someone up for a day, he would feel uncomfortable all over. Is that so? The black stone-like leader looked at Yu Yang. Yu Yang shrugged his shoulders, not saying a word, indicating that his mouth belonged to others, and he didn't care what others wanted to say. The accumulated anger from before made Yu Yang a little unhappy. For example, spending 200 gold to buy a normal ship ticket wasted hundreds of his level 6 and level 7 wyvern magic crystals. For the stingy Yu Yang, who always only paid and never paid, it already made him very angry. Now, why did they want to do a physical examination? Check your sister, it's not like they were going to blow up the Twin Towers. Therefore, Yu Yang decided that he couldn't bear it anymore, so he didn't need to bear it anymore. Wasn't he a pauper? He might as well rob this luxurious starry sky cruise. Anyway, he came to Heaven Realm to cause destruction, so it was better to do it sooner than later. Inan also felt that these people were too much. They originally wanted to have a good vacation, but they actually made a mess. She was also a little unhappy. Therefore, when Yu Yang wanted to go crazy, not only did she not stop him, she even wanted to help him. Don't think that you can be bullied just because your level is low. If they want to make a move, let them have a taste of the hallucinatory butterfly demon and spirit mirror, let them directly die in a terrifying nightmare. The black stone-like leader looked at the mercenaries around him. The one-eyed dragon said with an apologetic smile, "That's more or less the case. But it's fine if you want to do a physical examination, but you also want to take the opportunity to touch other people's women. That's not very good. Pretend I didn't say anything." The skinny man's sense of justice was slightly stronger. His reply was a forceful pay, and his face was full of contempt. "Boss, they are actually all in the same group." The few crew members hurriedly defended themselves. Pa. Unexpectedly, the stone-like guy actually waved his hand and gave each of the crew members a resounding slap. "Apologize and then throw this trash away. Our ship has quality service personnel, there's no need for trash to exist." "Wait a minute, boss, he is the chief officer's." A crew member whose front teeth were loose from the slap hurriedly said that the scum that was beaten up by Yu Yang had a backer. "No matter who brought this trash, trash is trash, the way to deal with it is the same." The black stone-like leader casually grabbed the inspector, who was still unconscious. Under everyone's flabbergasted gaze, he casually threw him out of the ship like he was throwing trash. He slightly bowed towards Yu Yang and Anan, and expressionlessly gave a welcoming salute. "Welcome to Starry Sky, I hope you have a pleasant journey." Chapter 608. Many busybodies thought that a fight would break out. Who would have thought that such an outcome would make them very disappointed? When the stone statue-like leader left, the mercenaries dispersed. The one-eyed man looked at Yu Yang and Anan thoughtfully. The skinny mercenary showed respect. Originally, he didn't think much of Yu Yang, who was much lower in rank than him. But when he found out that Yu Yang was so powerful, he admired him. It was already very courageous to protect one's lover and fight against a powerful enemy of a higher level. After crippling the inspector in front of everyone, he was able to face the enemy's powerful leader without fear. This was something that the skinny mercenary couldn't imagine. What kind of person, what kind of mentality, could do this? It wasn't that he hadn't seen arrogant experts, but he had never seen a commoner who could look down on the world. This young man, how do I put it, he looks a bit like Big Sister. The skinny mercenary came to this conclusion. He was shocked and immediately denied it in his heart. How could it be? Big Sister was a heaven ranker, and this kid was just an earth ranker level 1 commoner. The main reason why he could chop off the inspector's hand was because of that platinum-ranked blade. If it wasn't for its deterrence, the crew would have rushed up and surrounded him. The skinny mercenary left with the team and looked at Yu Yang and Anan from afar. He felt that this young man was very ordinary. Other than being handsome and having a sharp weapon, his strength was nothing. Maybe it was just an illusion that scared him just now. The skinny mercenary comforted himself. On the other hand, the one-eyed man looked back at Yu Yang and revealed a meaningful smile. He seemed to have discovered some secret. "Where are we going to play? Why don't we go eat something first?" Anan realized that the ship had already started moving. She wanted to suggest that Yu Yang go to the bow of the ship to enjoy the wind and view the beautiful scenery. But looking around, there were still many people secretly looking over, pointing and discussing. She didn't want to be the center of attention, so she quickly pulled Yu Yang away from the deck. "Please, please." When the crewman saw Yu Yang and Anan walking over, his legs went soft. He quickly bowed and used the etiquette of welcoming nobles. "Hey handsome, wanna have a drink?" Unlike the nobles' cabins, the ordinary cabins had a different scenery. There were many sexily dressed women with heavy makeup, making all sorts of provocative poses to attract the guests' attention. These women were of all races, tall, short, fat, thin, and each with their own characteristics. They were all distributed on both sides of the stairs. When the mercenaries walked by, they would greet them coquettishly, hoping that someone would take a fancy to them. "Of course we have to drink, but we can do something more important." The one-eyed man at the front stuffed a gold coin into the cleavage of a big-breasted woman, and then skillfully held her waist that was tightly bound by a belt. He quickly slid down and pinched her plump buttock. When the other party moaned, He laughed triumphantly and took the woman he had chosen away from the team. The rest of the mercenaries also did the same and took away a large number of women. Even the skinny mercenary with a straight face chose a strong woman from the Oceanic Horse tribe who was 2 heads taller than him. It was a stark contrast to his figure. "Geez, are you serious? Can you even ride such a Oceanic Horse? Be careful, she'll suck you dry." The mercenaries roared with laughter. "Get lost, don't worry about me," the skinny mercenary replied angrily. These women with heavy makeup were actually very sensible. As for Yu Yang and Anan, who were obviously a young couple, no one tried to hit on them. They were not like the single mercenaries who blew smoke rings to tease them when they passed by. They knew very well who the real customers were. However, in the spacious ballroom below, there were some men who were already hugging women. They did not know what was good for them. When they saw Anan, their eyes lit up like wolves. A little fatty came over with a flirtatious female companion. He expressed that he was willing to play with them or trade. In short, it was up to Yu Yang to choose. Yu Yang's answer was to kick the guy 10 meters away. Boom! The deafening sound startled everyone in the ballroom. Everyone stopped dancing and turned their heads to look. The little fatty's nose was bleeding, and he was lying on the ground like a pig, unable to get up for a long time. On his belly that was full of fat, everyone could clearly see a footprint. The mercenaries who knew Yu Yang thought it was normal. A kick was considered a light punishment. The perverted inspector just now was beaten into a cripple by this kid. Especially the kick in the crotch. At that time, everyone felt sorry for the inspector. The little fatty's balls did not explode. It was a blessing from the ancestors. "Give it to me." The skinny mercenary made a bet with his companion. They bet 1 gold coin and he won. "It's fine if you don't want to trade, but why did you hit him?" The little fatty's female companion was very angry. She cursed loudly, but she did not dare to hit Yu Yang. Instead, she ran over to help the little fatty up and complained, "It's all because of you, trash. You said you were one of the top 5 special students in the academy, but you were beaten by a country boy. Don't expect me to play with you again. How embarrassing. Damn it, I'll beat that kid up for you." The little fatty's face turned red. He rolled up his sleeves and was ready to fight Yu Yang. "What happened?" "Stop." A few guards rushed over. When they saw Yu Yang and Anan, they were dumbfounded. "It's you again." At this time, someone quickly whispered in the little fatty's ear. This person had just seen Yu Yang beat up the inspector outside, and hurriedly said that this country bumpkin might have purposely disguised himself as a noble, and should have some backing. Because he had just beaten up the inspector outside, even the guard leader did not dare to stop him. The little fatty's face changed when he heard this. He took a few deep breaths and forcefully suppressed his anger. The guards on the cruise were also having a headache with Yu Yang. This kid was not strong, but his ability to cause trouble was the best in the world. In just a few minutes, he had another fight. He probably did not even need to go to Rainbow City to beat up everyone on the ship. The guards looked at each other. No one could say for sure. Such an arrogant person was a country boy without backing? That's impossible. He must be a noble who liked to pretend to be a commoner and tease people. Otherwise, how could he have such a beautiful female companion? Where did his temper come from? If this kid had just appeared in the countryside, he would probably be like a quail, curled up into a ball. Which commoner from the countryside would dare to beat someone up on a luxurious starry sky cruise? He must be a noble's son. At the very least, he was the illegitimate son of some big sex patriarch. He belonged to the type that was not public but had a strong backing. If you don't like to dance, go to the treasure cabin and play. It's bigger there, and the service is better. A few of the cruise ship's guards felt that if they kept this noble young master here, he would definitely get into a fight. They might as well advise Yu Yang to go to the gambling cabin to gamble. One must know that nobles with a lot of money loved to gamble. Enter the treasure cabin? Yu Yang just wanted to earn some money to spend. As a man without money, this kind of life was too difficult. The fatty stared at Yu Yang's back. Anger flashed in his eyes. Are we just going to let it go like this? The female companion was still angry. Come, let's go to the treasure cabin and play with that pretty boy. The little fatty felt that he was a little weak in fighting, but he had more money. When he gambled, he played with that country boy who seemed to have a backer. Fighting was not as good as fighting. The little fatty, who thought that he was smart and rich, pulled his female companion and chased after Yu Yang and Anan. The one-eyed man and the skinny mercenary suddenly looked at each other and nodded secretly. They also laughed and walked to the treasure cabin. Let's go and gamble too. It feels especially good today, the one-eyed man said as he used his big hand to caress the woman's round buttocks. At this moment, the skinny mercenary seemed to be impatient. He hurriedly pulled the tall woman to get a room. When he and the woman entered the room, they did not roll on the bed. Instead, they immediately took out countless magic crystals from the Caucasian woman's skirt and placed them together to form a strange crystal circle. The crystal circle instantly flashed and emitted an extremely strange signal. It seemed to be a signal to someone. Even the ship's messenger, who was in charge of monitoring and receiving all the signals, knew nothing about it. Only Yu Yang, who was holding Anan's small hand, frowned slightly. He looked at the one-eyed man and realized that the skinny mercenary was no longer among the mercenaries. What's wrong? Anan saw that Yu Yang was standing still and thought that he was looking at the little fatty who followed them. She softly persuaded him. How about I go back and hide for a while? After you settle some things, I'll come out and accompany you? It's okay. How could Yu Yang put that little fatty in his eyes? What he paid attention to were those mercenaries who looked like perverts. Yu Yang was a pauper. He had a lot of gold in Tong Tian Tower, but in Heaven Realm, he did not even have a single gold coin. He used a few magic crystals to exchange for one gold coin. Holding this smallest chip, it simply made Yu Yang's heart bleed. The exchange rate in Heaven Realm was really too damn black. That was a level 7 magic crystal. If it was in Tong Tian Tower, it could be exchanged for enough gold coins to bury people alive. Here, it could only be exchanged for one gold coin, and he had to pay an additional level 3 magic crystal as the exchange rates tax. Inan knew that Yu Yang was a miser who would only earn money but not lose money. She giggled. We'll use it as our capital. At the very least, we'll win 200 to 300 gold from it and win back all our losses. Yu Yang denied. No, at least 20 to 30,000 gold coins. 200 to 300 gold coins? It's not even enough to compensate for my mental damage. The little fatty who had exchanged 10,000 gold coins laughed loudly. Haha, so it's two whimsical paupers. If you don't have money, just say it. If you kneel down and call me young master, I will immediately reward you with a few gold coins. Exchanging for such a small chip, and you still want to show your face? Do you know what is called shameful? Of course I know. Acting like you is shameful. When Yu Yang said this, the mercenaries behind him almost fell down laughing. Nonsense. The little fatty's face immediately became uglier than death. Chapter 609. Regarding gambling, Yu Yang was actually not good at it. Furthermore, this was the first time he saw gambling in Heaven Realm, so he was completely unfamiliar with it. For example, there was a kind of gambling in Heaven Realm that was similar to dice, but it was not as simple as shaking a few ivory dice. It was a kind of war doll shaped like a die. As long as it started to spin, no one would be able to guess when it would stop, and no one would be able to hear any sound. On the contrary, this kind of war doll shaped like a die would create some illusions and use a fake voice to deceive the gambler. In other words, ordinary people, other than trying their luck, had no other way to win. Of course, people with special abilities were an exception. That poor bastard from the countryside, do you know what is called war doll dice? The little fatty was afraid that Yu Yang would get angry and attack him, so he first hired 2 cruise guards to protect his life. Then, he followed behind Yu Yang, mocking and ridiculing him. So boring! Inan originally had a good temper, but when she saw this fellow's despicable behavior, she wanted to beat him up. The war doll dice that the little fatty mentioned was a way of gambling in the treasure cabin. In each cup there were 10 war doll dice. If the total number of points was guessed correctly, then the odds would be extremely high, 110. Of course, very few people would be able to guess correctly. Other than guessing the total number of points, there was also individual guessing. You could choose a specific die, and if you guessed correctly, then you would receive a 1 payout. If you guessed consecutively, then the payout would be 6, and if you guessed correctly, then the payout would be 8. There was also the most difficult type of guessing. That was to guess all 10 dice correctly, and if the total number of points and the order were all correct, then the highest payout would be 100. Yu Yang decided to buy this type, challenging the highest difficulty and advancing towards the highest payout. With this kind of payout, as long as he won a few rounds in a row, he would become a millionaire. Which one should I buy? Inan had never gambled before. She grabbed Yu Yang's arm and excitedly waved the only chip in her hand. She felt that she would win no matter what she bought, but she also felt that she would lose no matter what she bought. She couldn't make up her mind at all. Honored guest, please bet your chips, it's time to leave. A beautiful demon dealer with a super hot and turbulent body reminds Inan to make a decision quickly. Just buy whatever you want. Yu Yang casually tossed the chip to the 55th position. Then, he took the betting book from the beautiful dealer of the demon race. He ticked off the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. Inan stared blankly for a long time before she asked blankly, "We only have 1 chip. What if we lose if we buy this number?" Even Inan, who trusted Yu Yang the most, didn't believe that the battle doll dice would produce a sequence of numbers from 1 to 10. Although there was a chance of such a sequence appearing, it was almost impossible. Indeed, since the start of the luxurious Starry Sky cruise ship, the battle doll dice that entered the treasure cabin had never produced this sequence. 1 to 10 was simply an impossible number. The little fatty laughed so hard that tears flowed from his eyes. His entire body almost collapsed on the gambling table. At first, he thought that Yu Yang was an expert who could use a single chip to win a lot of money. He didn't expect that he was trash. Fool, this country bumpkin is simply a natural-born fool. If I can win with this sequence, this young master will eat the dice cup on the spot. Using a chip to win 20 to 30,000? It's too early to dream. Ignorant country bumpkin, where do you think this is? This is the luxurious Starry Sky cruise ship. A poor ghost like you, a natural-born fool, can win money? You might be better off in your next life. You don't even need a mirror to look at yourself. Do you think you're worthy of winning a lottery? You look like a pretty boy, I didn't expect you to be mentally ill. That female companion was still brooding over Yu Yang's rejection. Of course, if Yu Yang said that he was going to bed with her now, he believed that she would immediately take off her clothes. The fire of jealousy that she yearned for was burning in her heart. That one-eyed dragon squeezed into the crowd to watch the show. He had a smile on his face, as if he was a mercenary who loved to watch the fun. After everyone had placed their chips, the beautiful demon race dealer clapped her hands and pressed the bell behind her, indicating that the cup was open. The little fatty jumped up and down, making funny faces. Other than Yu Yang's, he used all his money to buy a chip. He was prepared to use all his money to mock Yu Yang after he won. This kind of investment he was bound to lose. But in order to suppress and attack Yu Yang, he didn't care at all. The little fatty twisted his butt. "Lala, you fool. Once the cup is opened, you'll be dumbfounded. Eternal loser, idiot, that's you." He was singing and talking, beside himself with joy. But when the dice cup was opened, that laughter was like being cut by a knife, stopping abruptly. That pair of eyes were as big as a bull's eyes. But no matter how he stared, he couldn't change the truth. In front of the crowd that was filled with shock and disbelief, the battle doll dice in the cup were exactly 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, not a single one was wrong. Not to mention the little fatty, even the one-eyed dragon and the beautiful demon race dealer had expressions of shock. She didn't dare to believe that the battle doll dice would have this kind of sequence. Yay! Inan excitedly jumped up. Ignoring the crowd, she was so excited that she directly gave Yu Yang a kiss. She didn't understand why it was like this. But she knew that Yu Yang definitely used some kind of special ability to change the battle doll dice's sequence. Winning money was a small matter. What made her the happiest was to fiercely retaliate against the enemy's provocation. Seeing the embarrassed look of the little fatty being slapped by Yu Yang, Inan felt that it was very satisfying. This is impossible. You cheated. You must have cheated. Otherwise, it's impossible to have this kind of sequence. The little fatty looked as if his whole family had died. He angrily pulled his hair and angrily pointed at Yu Yang, accusing him of cheating. Actually, everyone was a little suspicious. If it wasn't cheating, then it was too much of a coincidence. But could the battle doll dice be cheated? They had never heard of it before. The battle doll dice were made by a battle doll master who swore to the gods to never gamble. Other than their master, they would never listen to anyone. Even a heaven ranker would not be able to change their independent personality. Furthermore, if he cheated, why didn't anyone see it with so many people present? The most important thing was that the demon race female dealer immediately clarified. This esteemed guest, please take note. The battle doll dice can never be cheated. They have their own independent personality. The number of turns is their own will. No one can change it. I dare to say that no one can cheat. These two esteemed guests were able to win this bet purely because of luck. Congratulations, these are your gold coins. The assistant of the demon race female dealer immediately returned 100 chips to Yu Yang. Although the odds were very high, Yu Yang had bet very little. The loss of 100 gold coins on the gambling table was simply a drop in the ocean. It was not even comparable to the little fatty's bet just now. Impossible. He must have used some unknown method. If this is some kind of luck, then let him win another round for me to see. The little fatty was unable to step down from the stage. Seeing the crowd laughing at him as if he was a clown, he felt even more ashamed. His face was flushed red as he gritted his teeth and pointed at Yu Yang. He wanted Yu Yang to bet another round. Seeing his frantic look, everyone shook their heads. Did this child's brain get squeezed by a door? Some busybodies started to talk about the grudge between Yu Yang and the little fatty. Thus, everyone was enlightened. They all looked at the little fatty with ridicule, as if they were looking at a brainless second-generation young master making a ruckus. One-eyed dragon was first shocked at Yu Yang's victory. He then laughed and muttered to himself, "Interesting. Looks like I have underestimated him. Big sister is right. There is really a surprise in this transaction." Yu Yang threw a random number and let Inan draw the sequence. Inan calculated happily for a long time. She found a sequence that she thought was most likely to succeed, and then happily passed it to Yu Yang. Actually, she did not have any opinion on winning or losing. She just wanted to win and slap the enemy's face. She was happy to see her lover's prestige. She knew that only Heaven Realm people who did not know Yu Yang would look down on him. If it was in Tong Tian Tower, even a fool would know that fighting with Yu Clan's third young master was the biggest mistake. In Heaven Realm, Void and Jiu Shao, who knew Yu Yang, treated him as a strong opponent. A little fatty with terrible strength might challenge Yu Yang. Inan felt that if she did not teach him a lesson, she would not be able to feel at ease. We must win. Inan clenched her small fists and looked at Yu Yang fervently. Of course, wait for the money. Yu Yang was extremely confident and smiled brightly. And Inan knew that Yu Yang doted on her. In order to make her happy, he would definitely let her win this time. Although he was cheating, he was doing it for her. Immediately, she felt a sweetness in her heart. Dream on, you guys are dreaming. You guys are definitely going to lose this time. The little fatty's female companion cursed. If you have the guts, come up and fight with me. We will play Lord Duel. 100 gold, no, 1,000 gold per round. The little fatty was furious. This made Yu Yang, who looked down on him, so angry that his lungs almost burst. He roared ferociously. He actually wanted to beat up Yu Yang, but his strength was too weak. Moreover, fighting was not allowed in the treasure cabin. Whoever started the fight would have to compensate for all the losses. The little fatty did not want to offend the owner of the cruise because of Yu Yang. That was not someone he could afford to offend. Why are there flies? They're buzzing so noisy. Yu Yang made a gesture to chase away flies. The surrounding gamblers and mercenaries roared with laughter. Dear guests, please place your chips. It's time to leave. The demon race's beautiful dealer was happy to see the customers' fighting spirit. Because the more they acted like this, the more they would win. Usually, the scene was too cold and cheerless. Once they entered the treasure cabin, they would send people to pretend to be gamblers and provoke others to increase the atmosphere. Yu Yang bet the 100 chips again. It was still the lottery with the highest odds. The gamblers were in an uproar. Was this brat crazy? Although 100 gold wasn't a lot, it was rare to see all of them bet on one. Just now, he was lucky and guessed the sequence that was almost impossible. Did he want to do it again? Even if he was the favored child of the god of luck, it was impossible to win the lottery twice in a row. It was more difficult than a meat pie falling from the sky and hitting your head. The demon race's beautiful dealer also felt a little pressured. If he won again, he would have to pay 10,000 gold. Convert the chips I won into gold coins and get a bronze card that anyone can take. Send it to room 0068. Remember to be fast. I hope to receive the bronze card within 5 minutes. Yu Yang instructed. He held Anan's little hand and left the table. Everyone was dumbfounded when they heard his word. What did this brat mean? Did he think he would win for sure? The dice cup hadn't been opened yet. Out of the 10 battle doll dice in the dice cup, at least 3 of them would stop the moment the cup was opened. This brat didn't even open the cup and he thought he would win for sure? Anan was also very curious. How did Yu Yang know that he would win for sure? However, she didn't ask. The reason was that Yu Yang had lightly scratched her palm. This was a secret signal between the two of them. It indicated that danger was approaching and that they needed to immediately retreat. The one-eyed dragon kept looking at Yu Yang. The more he looked, the more confused he became. Was this brat really so mysterious that he couldn't see through him even though he had the peeping eye? The demon race's beautiful dealer's fingers slightly trembled. She held her breath and reached out, gently opening the dice cup. As a result, the entire audience was in an uproar. Chapter 610. Esteemed guest, your card has been prepared. There are 9,090 gold inside, tax is 10%. As for this original chip that allowed esteemed guest to win 2 consecutive rounds of the lottery, I intend to give it to esteemed guest for safekeeping. I hope that this small gift will bless your luck forever. An extremely sexy foreign race beauty knocked on Yu Yang's door almost as soon as he returned to his cabin. Other than giving Yu Yang a thin bronze card with heaven runes all over it, she also gave the beautifully wrapped original chip to Anan. Wow, thank you. Anan also felt that this chip could bring her luck, so she happily accepted it. Yu Yang did not bat an eyelid as he accepted the bronze card and quickly closed the door. Why are you not happy that you suddenly became a household of 10,000 gold? Anan hugged Yu Yang's neck, stood on her tiptoes and gave him a kiss as she asked with a smile. We might be in trouble. This ship might be destroyed. I'm considering whether to return to the grimoire world. If I go back, I won't be able to watch the show. But if I don't go back, there might be danger. Seeing that Anan still did not understand, Yu Yang whispered, "Someone wants to blow up the ship. I felt a strong energy wave just now." As soon as he finished speaking, there was a deafening explosion. Along with the explosion, there was a violent tremor. With Yu Yang's hands protecting her, Anan was not injured at all. She used her white fingers to cover her ears and looked at the room full of things that had collapsed and shattered. She cutely stuck out her little pink tongue. The surrounding environment first stopped for 10 seconds, then it became noisy. Before anyone could react to what had happened, there was a loud alarm. Another crew member's voice sounded. "Esteemed guests on the ship, we have encountered a group of bandits. Esteemed guests, please remain calm. Our guards will repel the enemy and protect everyone's lives and property." Ah! Before this fellow could finish speaking, he seemed to have been killed by someone. Suddenly, the screams were like a boulder thrown into a calm lake, or like a stick hitting a beehive, causing a great commotion. Screams and curses rose and fell in the ship's hold. There were also people crying for help. There were even people who directly destroyed the cabin door and fled in search of a safe place. The panic triggered a wave of people to flee. Many men and women in disheveled clothing escaped. Most of them were mercenaries and beautiful women on the ship. "Oh my God, there's a thief on board, there's a thief robbing us. Run, run. It's a group of bandits, there are so many of them. Damn it, I can't find my pants. Damn it, who can lend me a pair of pants?" Humph! The skinny mercenary and the Caucasian woman also ran in the crowd. From time to time, he would deliberately trip the escaping mercenaries, causing even more panic. Yu Yang closed his eyes and waited quietly until all the commotion outside quieted down. Then he gently nodded at Anan, who was in his arms, and said with absolute certainty, "There are indeed people robbing this ship, and there are a lot of them. There are thousands of people surrounding the ship, and there are also many explosive points on the ship. There are even people transmitting signals to the outside. The attack just now has destroyed the ship's communication device. I guess it's to prevent the crew from asking for help from the outside. As for the guidance here, it should be some kind of launch signal, so that the people lying in ambush will attack at the same time. The leader of these thieves is not simple. He actually dared to attack such a big cruise ship, and his plan went smoothly. He's really a capable person. Then you stay and watch the show. I'll go back first." Anan obediently kissed Yu Yang's cheek and giggled. "Actually, you can stay too. Don't forget who we are. We're just commoners with very little strength and no status. Those thieves won't rob us. I think their targets are the rich nobles. Haha, we can fish in troubled waters. Come, I'll bring you to play something exciting." Yu Yang originally wanted to send Anan back, but when he saw that the robbers were not ordinary people, they would definitely not be interested in small fries like him. It was just the right time to take Anan on an adventure. Steal? Anan was a little eager to try. Anan used to dress as a thief, but she had never stolen anything. She, who had an excellent family upbringing, would never do something like stealing. But she did not object to Yu Yang taking action, because the things that were stolen were from the nobles. Those people were not good people. Even if Yu Yang stole, he could be considered a hero thief. So, she was also interested and decided to take the risk with Yu Yang, watching him fish in troubled waters. Yu Yang pulled her along as they rummaged through the cabins one by one, collecting a lot of scattered gold coins. Of course, mercenaries did not have much money, so the harvest was not much. The nobles' cabins on the upper floors were completely different. There were more than a dozen kinds of necklaces and rings, and a small number of gems and famous wine. It was estimated that the nobles were enjoying themselves. They did not expect the cruise to have an accident, so they rushed out, giving benefits to Yu Yang and Anan, the two thieves who took advantage of the burning house. Anan laughed all the way, because Yu Yang was a wicked person. He threw all the useless things, such as some expensive clothes, leather shoes, and hats out of the ship. This was a typical behavior of harming others without benefiting himself. Later, there were more thieves in the cabin. Yu Yang took Anan to avoid them and returned to his cabin. The two looked at each other and laughed. In fact, the stolen things were not very useful. Some could be exchanged for some money, and some were purely ornaments, because the most useful and the most precious things were definitely carried by the nobles, and they could not be left behind. However, it was fun to fish in troubled waters like this. Whenever Nan thought of those thieves breaking into the VIP cabin and realizing that there wasn't even a single piece of clothing inside, she would feel that it was funny when she saw that the cabin had been ransacked. She was not interested in the big bag of accessories at all. What she liked was the atmosphere when Yu Yang brought her to steal things. No matter if they were doing good things or bad things, he would always hold her little hand. In this life, she would follow him like this. He was her other half. Anan saw Yu Yang solemnly pack up the stolen things, and then with a whoosh, he opened the cabin and threw everything out of the ship. She was so happy that she could hardly stand, and needed to hold his arm to barely stand. Too bad. With Yu Yang messing around like this, no matter if it was the thieves or the nobles, they would suffer heavy losses. The worst thing about this guy was that he waited until the cruise ship slowed down and sailed above a lake before he threw away the big bag of things. Even if someone saw the things he threw away, it would probably be difficult to get them. Too bad, we didn't have enough time, and we only searched a few dozen cabins. You should know that there are more than 20,000 cabins here, and the real VIP cabins are not here. Yu Yang deliberately sighed with infinite regret. Anan covered her small mouth and secretly laughed for a long time, and with great difficulty she stopped laughing. There are guards in the first-class cabins, we can't go in. Besides, we can't be greedy, we'll be finished if we get caught. Yu Yang frowned. He noticed that there were thieves coming this way. All of you, come out and go to the deck. This is a robbery, not a joke. If anyone dares to disobey, I'll give you a knife. A few men dressed in black fiercely walked into this floor, kicked the cabin doors one by one, and entered to search. In fact, they were just doing a rough search, casually bluffing. Originally, they thought that there was no one in these ordinary cabins, and they were about to leave, but a guy with a keen sense sensed the life breath of Yu Yang and Anan. After walking through the cabin door, he walked back with uncertainty. When he saw Yu Yang and Anan, he immediately shouted, "Doggy, doggy, guess what I found? A beautiful girl that's so beautiful that she's bubbling in the air. Oh my God, this is a human beauty. That human beauty we saw in Flying Swallow City last time can't even be compared to her. Compared to this chick, that beauty is like a piece of shit." Their companions ran over in a mess and crowded at the door, each of them like a male wolf in heat. They almost drooled. A guy with thorns all over his head stuck out his long tongue and licked his lip. Unfortunately, Big Sister doesn't allow us to rape her, otherwise, Big Sister wouldn't know if we secretly touched her, right? Ermao, you go and keep watch. Brothers, let's break the rule today and flirt with this little beauty. Such a beautiful girl, if we don't flirt with her, we'll feel sorry for ourselves. But a slap landed on the back of his head. One-eyed dragon appeared behind those people and shouted, "All of you, get out of here. If you dare to do anything, Big Sister doesn't need to do anything, I'll kill you myself. I can pretend that I didn't see anything, but if you dare to violate the first rule, I'll kill you without mercy." When the few thieves saw One-Eyed Dragon, they immediately shriveled. They hurriedly smiled and said, "Third brother, we're just saying it to take advantage of you. How would we dare to really flirt with this little girl?" One-Eyed Dragon gave each of them a kick and shouted, "Get out of here, I get annoyed when I see you scum." When they were far away, he showed an especially kind smile to Yu Yang and Anan. "Little brother, little sister-in-law, I was looking for you. Don't be afraid. Although I am a robber, I am a true robber. Our Raging Flame Bandit group is famous far and wide. We never rape or pillage, and we never do evil things. We are the best of the best. Speaking of our Raging Flame Bandits, who doesn't give us a thumbs up? If a fat sheep meets us, they definitely won't have to worry about their lives. At most, we'll extort a little ransom, and we'll negotiate in a friendly and warm atmosphere. We promise we won't use violence first. Yu Yang's face darkened. So this one-eyed dragon had already noticed him. Inan didn't have much experience in society. She thought that this one-eyed dragon was really taking care of her and Yu Yang. She bowed slightly and thanked him. "Thank you, uncle, we're not particularly afraid. You guys are indeed different from ordinary bandits. But we don't have much money, other than the 9,000 gold we just won. Uncle, we still have to go to Rainbow City later. Can you ask your leader if he can leave us some money? If he can, then we'll cooperate with you. If not, then I'm sorry, we'll have to fight." One-eyed dragon laughed. "No, no, no, little sister-in-law, you've misunderstood. I'm not here to ask for money, I'm here to invite you to join our Raging Flame Bandits. If you work in our bandit group, you'll get a monthly salary, a year-end bonus, a bonus for completing tasks, and work clothes. Unless there's a sudden task, you'll get at least 2 days off every week. In general, our bandit group's treatment is very good." Yu Yang and Inan were stunned. Was this guy here to rob or to recruit? Chapter 611. Luxurious Starry Sky Cruise Ship on the Bow Deck. The originally incomparably spacious deck had long since been filled with a dense crowd. Many of them were not dressed properly. It was obvious that they were in a hurry to escape and did not even have time to wear their clothes properly. However, all those who escaped were captured by the Raging Flame pirate group. Other than a few guards who were still resisting, most of the crew members and nobles' bodyguards stopped resisting and threw down their weapons. Against the Raging Flame pirate group, all resistance was useless. This was because the Raging Flame pirate group could be ranked in the top 10 among the millions of pirate groups in the Southern Heaven Realm. Unless they did not attack, once they did, there was no power that could defend against their fierce attack. The Raging Flame pirate group would not provoke those big powers with strong backing. They would also not harass those large cities with sufficient military strength and strong defenses. They would take a detour. The Raging Flame pirate group rarely attacked. They would usually find a target and plan before taking action. They would plunder a large sum of money and then hide for a long time. Originally, with their destructive power and influence, they could not be ranked in the top 10 of the pirate group. One must know that the top 10 bandit groups in the Southern Heaven Realm were all extremely vicious and bloodthirsty homicidal maniacs that killed people like flies. They wandered around the Southern Heaven Realm, and everywhere they went, they were like locusts, not leaving a single blade of grass behind. In comparison, the Raging Flame pirate group only had a bounty of 1 billion. Compared to the first-ranked Skeleton pirate group with a bounty of 9 billion and the second-ranked Bloodthorn pirate group with a bounty of 8.5 billion, it was nothing. There were 2 reasons why the Raging Flame pirate group could be ranked in the top 10 of the Southern Heaven Realm. Firstly, it was because of the extremely powerful leader, Raging Flame. Just this leader alone had a bounty of 530 million gold. This leader's strength was as high as Heaven-ranked level 5. This kind of Heaven-ranked ranker, not to mention City Lord. He could even be a lord or even a small kingdom's ruler. Secondly, below Raging Flame, there were actually 4 Heaven-ranked rankers. Compared to the 7th, 8th, and 9th ranked pirate groups, there were even more Heaven-ranked rankers. One must know that Heaven-ranked rankers were equivalent to hard power. The Raging Flame pirate group had 5 Heaven-ranked rankers. Furthermore, their leader was as high as Heaven-ranked level 5. Thus, they easily squeezed out many notorious large pirate groups and became one of the top 10. Compared to large bandit groups that had tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of members, the Raging Flames bandit group was actually considered small. This was because it had no more than 3,000 members at its peak. The one with a head full of red hair is our big sister. She is also the Captain Raging Flame that you guys are talking about. Don't be fooled by her ferocious appearance. In fact, she's kind-hearted, sunny, good-tempered, brave, fearless, and righteous. She's a first-class friend. One-Eyed Dragon introduced her as such. Yu Yang almost thought that this guy worked in a matchmaking agency. Lao San, how dare you speak ill of me behind my back? Be careful that I don't dig out your single eye. How do I look ferocious? This is called having character, and I'm walking the path of character. You don't know what's good for you, so don't spout nonsense. A 3-meter-tall female giant with bulging muscles, strong like a tiger, and full of scars walked over. When she walked, it was like an earthquake. With every step she took, the entire cruise ship seemed to tremble. She was not very ugly. Thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a well-defined face showed her strong characteristic. Coupled with the faintly discernible scars, she was simply too cool. If she looked like this on a man, then Arnold Governor would feel so inferior that he would hit his head against the wall. She was only wearing a black leather vest. Her strong muscles and super plump breasts seemed as if they would burst the small leather vest at any time. If there was anything about this female giant that was particularly eye-catching, it would be her hair that was like raging flames. That messy, curly, and casually scattered blood-red hair was like a raging flame burning wildly. Anyone who saw it would be amazed, because it was impossible for such breathtakingly beautiful hair to appear on the head of a woman who was even more ferocious than a man. This should appear on the hair of a goddess. Unfortunately, reality was cruel. On the head of this muscular woman with a stocky waist and a tiger back, there was a head of raging flame hair that made even the sun lose its color. This hair was not a real flame, but it was even more dazzling and beautiful than a real flame. It was simply magical. It gave people a feeling that they would rather become a moth and throw themselves into the flame without any regrets, even if they were burned to death. Because of this raging flame hair, this ugly female giant's beauty added a lot of points. It gave people a feeling that she was not ugly at all. Yu Yang realized that although this female giant was heaven-ranked level 5, if she wanted to fight with He who was at the same level, Yu Yang was willing to bet everything he had on her winning. This female giant was a completely different person from He Hu. Although He Hu was an outer hall elder of the central palace, he was obviously a person who lived like a prince and rarely fought. Otherwise, how could he have been killed? The female giant was the complete opposite. Yu Yang believed that the number of battles this female giant had fought in her life was more than a normal person's meals. Even if she was only heaven-ranked level 5, the power she could unleash would be far beyond her level. In other words, this female giant was just like him, able to fight above her level. Yu Yang did not have the confidence to win against this super female warrior who had rich battle experience and often struggled to return from the brink of death. Heaven-ranked level 6 Yenzong, Yenzun and the others were very strong. Yu Yang could not win against them yet, but he had the confidence to not lose in 1,000 moves. Against this female giant, Yu Yang could not estimate. Maybe he could tie, maybe not. Of course, the power of the ancient code was something else. It was not something that Yu Yang could truly grasp. Ever since Yu Yang ascended to the heaven realm, this female giant was the first opponent he could not see through. If it was not necessary, Yu Yang was not willing to start a fight with this female giant. No matter who started a fight with this female giant, it would be a headache. Among the people that Yu Yang knew, there was no need to talk about Void, Jiu Shao and Mingyu Guang, the 3 Heaven Realm great leaders. Scarlet Emperor also did not see through all of his trump cards. Other than the 4 of them, there was only one person who could suppress this female giant, and that was Ji Zun. Other than Ji Zun, even Night Empress might not be able to win against her. Of course, this female giant might not be able to do anything to Night Empress who had the Starry Sky domain. She was just the leader of a bandit group, And she was already so strong? Yu Yang sighed. Heaven realm, there were indeed countless strong warriors. Are these the two newbies you were talking about? The little girl's potential is incredible, very good. As long as she is nurtured a little, I believe that she will be heaven ranked in the future. As for this little boy, oh, he is very strange, I can't see through him. Strange, he seems very weak, but also very strong. I am a heaven ranked, how can I not sense a brat who is still wet behind the ears? This is too strange, how could such a human be born in the South Heaven realm? The female giant bent down, bringing out a huge shadow from her body, covering Yu Yang and Anan. She first looked at Anan and gave her a very high evaluation. When she looked at Yu Yang again, she frowned. One-eyed dragon heard and quickly flattered. Big sis, with your discerning eyes, how could you not see through him? This brat definitely has a certain inherent skill of concealment. In other words, he definitely has a grimoire, and his inherent skill is concealment. That's why outsiders can't see through him. Yu Yang was slightly shocked. This was the first time he heard someone guess his inherent skill. It seemed that this one-eyed dragon was not a simple person. Although he was not very strong, he was definitely a strategist in the bandit group. You guys can call me Big Sis from now on. The female giant gave up on researching, because there were many things waiting for her to do. She waved her hand and made a decision. We have not agreed to join yet. Yu Yang expressed that he needed to consider. What? That female giant immediately became angry. She lifted Yu Yang up with one hand and placed him in front of her. She glared at him fiercely. What I say is an order. No one is allowed to go against it, understand? I have taken a liking to you guys, so you guys are my people. In the future, you will be my subordinate. If you don't agree, I will crush your balls, and then throw you to your death on the stone floor. Your brains will splatter everywhere. Let's see if you still dare to go against my orders then. Yu Yang was dumbfounded. So this was really not a girl, but a fierce bandit. Big Sis quickly put him down. You have a bad temper, but his temper isn't that good either. You guys can discuss this. Anan was really afraid that Yu Yang and this female giant would fight. Take note, I am not a big sis, I am a big sis. The female giant first corrected Anan's words. She turned her head and stared at Yu Yang. That imposing manner was as terrifying as an axe fiercely chopping down. She roared at Yu Yang. What? You are so small, and you still dare to have a temper? Even if you have a temper, you can't vent it on me. I am the group leader, I am the big sis. You guys, as my subordinates, all have to listen to my orders. If I say go to the east, you guys have to go to the east. If I say go to the west, you guys have to go to the west. You can't be even a little slower, understand? If you dare to say that you don't want to join, I will directly strangle you to death, and then twist all your bones into fried dough twists. Yu Yang's temper flared up. Other than rape, I am not afraid of anything else. No matter how much I say, it is all nonsense. A lousy bandit group, if I say I won't join, then I won't join. The female giant was completely enraged. She stomped her feet heavily. The entire cruise ship started to tremble. She first put Yu Yang down, and crazily smashed the huge ship's bow into a pile of scrap metal. When her anger subsided, she waved her hand again and ordered, You want to anger me? Not so easy. Lao San, capture this brat, lock him up and starve him for a few days. Let's see how stubborn he can be. Yu Yang did not say anything, he only raised his pinky, indicating that this move of hers was child's play, it was trash. That female giant laughed out loud. You may not be afraid of hunger, but your little lover is. You can't bear for her to go hungry. Haha, you brat, you still want to fight with me? You are still too inexperienced. Wait, since you are a couple, then it will be easy. Today, I will host your wedding, and then recognize the little girl as my sister. This way, you will be a member of the Raging Flames bandit group, and in the future, it will be impossible to wash your name clean. Men, prepare their wedding. I want to give them a wedding that will shake the entire South Heaven realm. Yes, big sis. Thousands of bandits who wished for the world to be in chaos responded loudly. Thank you, big sis. However, I will first ask if he agrees. Inan was happy and shy at the same time. She was happy that she could hold a wedding with him in the Heaven realm, but she was shy because this matter was too sudden, and she was not mentally prepared at all. Joining the Raging Flames bandit group was simply a joke. She and Yu Yang were not from the Heaven realm, and would return to Tong Tian Tower in a few days. Who would know at that time? Chapter 6:12. You can't even protect yourself. What's the point of holding a wedding? Yu Yang laughed. What? The female giant was stunned. Then, she turned her head and looked around. Finally, her expression changed as she looked towards the far east. In the clouds in the far east, a black dot first appeared. It gradually became clearer and became a golden-armored marshal riding a giant dragon. Behind this golden-armored marshal, who stood arrogantly on the giant dragon's head with his hands crossed in front of his chest, countless black dots flew out from the clouds, forming an army of sky knights dressed in silver armor. This army of sky knights had a total of 10,000 people. Their mounts were all thunder griffins with eagle heads, lion bodies, steel claws, iron tails, and silver feathers. Their banners were clear and their silver armor clanged. With the sound of a bugle horn, the entire Griffin Legion swiftly moved to the two flanks. They spread out into a semicircle as if they had arms and fingers, surrounding the cruise ship from afar. They seemed to have rehearsed this thousands of times. Everyone's positions, mounts, weapons, flags, and cloaks were all exactly the same. Among the 10,000 riders, be it humans or beasts, they were all silent and full of killing intent. With this kind of tacit understanding, one could tell that these Sky Knights were well-trained soldiers. Ha! 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 The golden-armored marshal raised his right hand, and the entire army roared at the same time, their momentum shaking the heavens and earth. Then, the entire army stood solemnly. Like a steel formation, they waited for further orders. Only a dozen silver-armored generals stood out from the crowd. They followed behind the golden-armored marshal and flew towards the cruise. Yu Yang could see with his heaven eyes divine vision that the strength of the 10,000 Griffin Legion was all at Earth stage level 6. The dozen or so silver-armored generals were even stronger. The weakest generals had already reached Earth stage level 8, and most of them were Earth stage level 9. There were even 3 Earth rank level 10. Although they did not have grimoires, their strength was comparable to the Emperor of the Underworld, Sky Emperor, and Ocean Emperor. Thunder Griffins? The female giant frowned and shouted. Self-righteous subordinate of the Lionheart King, do you want to interfere with the business of the Raging Flame Bandit Group? Long Xiang, although you're the leader of the 3 great marshals under the Lionheart King, that's just a bunch of bootlickers. Don't think that you can interfere with my business with your meager abilities. Scram right now, otherwise, even if you're the Lionheart King, I won't give you any face. Although Captain Raging Flame is famous in the Southern Heaven Realm and can make children stop crying, it's easy to scare children. If you want to scare my flying dragon, it doesn't seem to be enough. Standing on the head of the dragon, the golden-armored marshal arrogantly responded. Big sister, it doesn't look good. We can't fight them head-on. The one-eyed man's eyes flashed and he hurriedly said, Don't worry, it's just one person from the Flying Dragon Special Forces. I can take him down with one hand. The female giant waved her hand. Go and prepare for that little sister's wedding. I will settle whatever Thunder Knight group. Remember, what I said must be fulfilled. So today is a good day for Raging Flames. Haha, I have also come to ask for a cup of wedding wine. A bald man descended from the sky like a meteor. His fall was extremely rapid. Everyone thought that the bald man would hit the deck. Even if he didn't become a meat paste, he would still smash through the deck and into the cabin. Who would have thought that with a flip of his body, the meteor-like fall instantly disappeared. He floated down as light as a feather, and the tip of his toes touched the deck, not stirring up any dust. The person's head was as clean as a cow mountain, and not even a blade of grass grew on it. In Yu Yang's eyes, that bright and round skull was like a comical big light bulb. Other than the obvious sign of a bald head, the person also had a unique outfit. He wore a super luxurious silver fur coat on the outside, like a gentleman, but inside, he was bare-chested, revealing his thick chest hair, as rough as a barbarian. He wore a pair of bright red pants and pointed black leather shoes. His outfit was really awkward. The most unbearable thing was that this guy wore all kinds of gemstone rings on his 10 fingers. He looked like a country nouveau riche. Of course, just by looking at the surface, this country nouveau riche at most deserved a beating, and was not a big deal at all. In reality, this bald nouveau riche was a notorious villain in the southern heaven realm. His ranking was even higher than the female giant, and the southern heaven realm's bounty on him was as high as 650 million. It's you, bald monster? You go your own way and I go my own way. Why did you come to my territory? The female giant's face darkened. If it was only the commander of the Thunder Griffins, Long Xiang, it would be fine. But now there was also the wise demon marshal with a bounty of 650 million. The sudden change of events made her start to doubt. If there were no special circumstances, the self-proclaimed righteous Long Xiang would not work together with a demon like wise demon marshal. Could it be that they were really here for her? Or was there a royal family that was hiding on the cruise, and summoned Long Xiang to protect them? Wise demon marshal had always been a loner. He might be trying to fish in troubled waters. It's just a cup of wedding wine. Why is Raging Flame so stingy? The bald wise demon marshal laughed. Big sis, there's a ghost down there. 2 heaven rank rankers dressed as mercenaries flew out from the rocky shore below the lake and hurriedly reported to the female giant. Actually, there was no need for them to report. The female giant had also seen it. In the forest by the lake, the force field, that was disguised by the heaven rank rankers using a special treasure was removed. Countless bandits with black headscarves on their heads and waving black skull flags flew out from the distant forest like a tide. They were so densely packed that it looked like there were at least tens of thousands of them. The leader, a skeleton man with a scimitar on his back and a stalk of grass in his mouth, flew out. After a few somersaults, he easily landed in front of the female giant. The skeleton man, who looked like he could fall apart at any time, was dressed in tattered clothes, as if he had just climbed out of a grave. This skeleton man looked extremely ugly, but he still pretended to be a refined and courteous gentleman. He first bowed to the female giant in a noble manner, then spoke with the tone of a superior. Duke Sa Wu say Hammondale Edwards Murafable Rachel greets leader Raging Flames. We haven't seen each other for a few years, but this Duke has always been thinking about leader Raging Flames. Not seeing you for a day feels like 3 years. Leader Raging Flames is still as graceful as ever, beautiful and moving. Under this gentle night breeze, your gentleness in the twilight makes this Duke fall in love with you. Yu Yang spurted out when he heard this. The female giant's expression was extremely ugly, as if she saw a maggot twisting its butt and crawling around on the ground disgustingly. In reality, there really was a maggot crawling out of this Duke's nostril. When it crawled to his teeth, the skeleton man opened his mouth and chewed on those maggots with relish, as if he had eaten a delicacy. In the process of chewing, a loose tooth accidentally fell out. The skeleton man screamed and quickly picked up the tooth. Then, he turned around and used his robe to block other people's view. Then, he carefully put the tooth back in his mouth. Finally, he bowed to everyone and apologized. This Duke is old, my body is old and my teeth are loose. I hope everyone can forgive me for my loss of composure just now. After saying that, he took out a silk handkerchief from somewhere and wiped the impossible cold sweat on his forehead. Yu Yang was speechless. He had a hypothesis in his heart, which was to use his fist to smash the 2 rows of teeth, sending all of this guy's teeth flying, and then let him pick them up one by one. This feeling should be very satisfying. Although this skeleton man looked like a fool, his strength should not be underestimated. The skeleton man's ranking was also above the female giant. He was the leader of the Black Skeleton Bandit group, which was ranked 9th in South Heaven Realm, Rachel. The scimitar on his back was the famous Holy Treasure Blade, heart-rending. In the illustrated handbook of thousands of godly weapons in South Heaven Realm, it was a sharp weapon that could be ranked on the list. The only pity was that the skeleton man, Duke Rachel, who had a bounty of 550 million, although his bounty was slightly higher than the female giant's, his strength was actually slightly lower. This was also the reason why he purposely pretended to be so humble. Marshal Long Xiang is here, Sir Demon Lord is here, even the Duke is here. How can I not be here? You must know, this is also the hunting ground that I occasionally set foot in. A tall man dressed like a clown, dressed in colorful clothes, appeared behind the female giant. Compared to the skeleton man, his posture was even lower. This silver clown with a half-crying and half-smiling face bowed respectfully to the female giant. "Big sister, long time no see. Sorry for not going out to meet you, big sister. I didn't know that big sister was hunting here. If not, I would definitely welcome you." "Get lost, I am not your big sister, go to the side, you have your clown bandit group. What you do has nothing to do with me." The female giant sneered. It was the first time she rejected someone calling her big sister. "So sad, I fought together with big sister in the past. Although big sister is not willing to admit it, I will always treat big sister as my boss." That clown laughed evilly, using one hand to spin the magic wand with the other hand to toss the tricolored ball. He suddenly looked at Yu Yang and Anan and laughed evilly. "So you forgot the old when you have new people, no wonder big sister doesn't recognize me. Not bad new people, they have unlimited potential, if these 2 new people can grow up, they will at least be heaven rank, right?" Yu Yang felt a strong killing intent from this clown's words. Although other people had it too, but all of them added up could not even compare to half of this clown. He had a premonition. It was highly likely that the clown, who seemed so respectful on the surface, had plotted all of this. As for the arrogant golden-armored marshal, the sly bald man, and the disgusting skeleton man, they were all just helpers that the clown had hired to help him. "Where's the wedding gown?" The female giant stretched out her hand, and the one-eyed dragon hurriedly handed over the snow-white wedding gown that his subordinates found in the cabin. "Big sister, someone is getting married on the ship, but the wedding gown might not be suitable for that young lady." The female giant acted as if she did not hear it, took it, ignored everyone, and walked in front of Anan. "Little sister, I really want to give you a grand wedding, but it seems that it is impossible now. Although I am a chivalrous bandit, I have a lot of enemies, and there are often some blind people who come looking for trouble. Today, I am unable to fulfill my promise. I apologize to you. Little sister, you are not my man. Today's matter has nothing to do with you. After you and this boy get married, you must live a happy life. If he bullies you, you can come and find me. I will help you beat him up." "Thank you, sister. Actually, this kind intention is enough." Anan was so touched that she accepted the wedding gown. Although she snatched it, to her it was the best gift. "Lao San, you two personally send the 2 of them off. Our Raging Flame Bandit group will definitely not implicate the innocent." The female giant waved her hand, and ordered the one-eyed dragon and 2 heaven-rank subordinates to send Yu Yang and Anan off the luxurious Starry Sky cruise. As for herself, she turned around and left, facing the enemies, and shouted heroically, "Since you are here for me, then come on up. I will not let you down. Which one of you wants to die first?" "No rush, no rush." The skeleton man waved his hand and smiled. The two newlyweds don't be in a hurry to leave, because there are still many people here to drink the wedding wine. As more and more people appeared from the forest, it could be seen clearly. A portion of the people were escorted here. Among them, most of them were women and children. Chapter 6:13. The female giant's face changed when she saw the women and children who were being escorted over. She clenched her fists tightly. The aura emitted from her body seemed to be able to destroy the heavens and earth, but she held it in and forcefully suppressed it. One-eyed dragon and the skinny mercenary knelt down powerlessly when they saw this. The reason was that they realized that the women and children who had been hiding were all captured by the enemy. Not a single one was left. Even the two heaven rankers who stayed behind were left with only one. The other one had already died in battle. His bloody head was held up by the enemy's spear. His eyes were wide open in anger. The Raging Flames members, whose morale did not drop even after being surrounded by the Thunder Griffin Legion and the Skeleton Bandit group, finally dropped the weapons in their hands powerlessly. For their families, for their parents, for their children, they could fight while bathed in blood. Even if they died in battle, their loved ones would be compensated. Under Big Sister's leadership, they had no worries at all. But now, their loved ones were captured by the enemy, and they could no longer raise the swords in their hands. Big Sister, I've let you down," the heaven ranker who was captured suddenly wailed. He struggled with all his might, but under the escort of 8 heaven rankers, his struggles were of no use. He was immediately sent to the clown's feet, and the clown used his long and skinny legs to step on his head. The clown, whose strength was at the peak of heaven rank level 4, only needed to exert force. This heavily injured man, who was only at heaven rank level 2, would die from his head exploding. Now the clown looked at the female giant. "Big Sister, you know that I have always listened to you the most. Tell me, what should we do now? Big Sister's words are set in stone. I will definitely listen to you." His long fingers moved skillfully. The magic wand in his hand moved extremely quickly, showing how pleased he was. The skeleton man also expressed that he would listen to the female giant. As it spoke, it used its finger bone to dig out a fat white maggot from its ear. When no one was paying attention, it quickly stuffed it into its mouth and chewed. As for the bald wise demon marshal, he came out at this moment to smooth things over. He laughed loudly and said, "Let's not make things difficult for Leader Raging Flame. Clown, it's not right for you to keep detaining people. No matter what, they are still the subordinates of a heaven ranker. It's very impolite of you to detain them like this. If word of this gets out, outsiders would think that we are ganging up to bully Leader Raging Flame, who is a heaven ranker. How about this? I will be the peacemaker. As long as Captain Raging Flame is willing to agree to one of our conditions, we will let him go and sit down to talk." Because Leader Raging Flame's temper is not very good, I think we should use a plague dragon nail to pierce his skin and use pain to remind Leader Raging Flame, who is easily angered. As long as Leader Raging Flame remembers not to be rash, then it will be easy. We will let him go immediately and sit down to talk. Actually, it's not a big deal. We are all old friends. We should have talked a long time ago. Wise Demon Marshal, you have detained our people, but there are still tens of thousands of people here in our hands. As long as we detonate this cruise, the tens of thousands of people on the cruise will definitely not be spared. One-eyed dragon roared and raised the detonator in his hand. What? The passengers on the ship were terrified. All of them were so scared that their bodies turned soft. If these bandits were forced into a corner, they would do anything. Many people hoped to negotiate properly and not be rash. There were even acquaintances who called out to the Golden Armor Marshal, saying that they were from a certain noble family, hoping that the Golden Armor Marshal Long Xiang would save them, and promised to reward them handsomely. However, the Golden Armor Marshal Long Xiang stood still like a mountain, not moving at all. He turned a deaf ear to everything, as if he was a statue. The clown, who was stepping on the heaven-ranked ranker, quickly twirled his magic wand and calmly asked the bald man, "Wise demon marshal, do you see any outsiders here?" The bald man shrugged his shoulders. "No, not a single one. Is there a ship here? Is there anyone on the ship? How come I don't see a single one? Duke Rachel, other than your black skeleton group and clown group, is there anyone else here?" The skeleton man grinned, revealing a mouth full of black teeth, and replied, "Yes, there are more than 10,000 Sky Knights riding on Thunder Griffins. As for the crew and passengers, I don't see a single one. You all know that I don't have eyes and am completely blind. You want me to see any passengers? Isn't that obvious? There is no one in my eyes." The bald man was very satisfied with this answer. He turned to look at One-Eyed Dragon. "Did you hear that? There is no one here." One-Eyed Dragon was so angry that his entire body was trembling, but he tried his best to suppress his anger. "As long as I press the detonator, there will be a ship here, and there will be people on the ship." The bald man smiled but did not reply. He casually threw a long blue nail in front of the female giant. This should be the plague dragon nail that he mentioned. With Yu Yang's heaven eyes divine vision, he could see that this plague dragon nail was undoubtedly the best weapon to counter the female giant's power. This was because Yu Yang now understood that the blood that flowed in the female giant's body should be some kind of ancient dragon's blood. The plague dragon nail, that was ineffective against normal humans, was a natural killing weapon against the female giant. One-Eyed Dragon saw this long blue nail and tightly gripped the detonator. He was so angry that his beard and hair stood up and he roared, "Despicable and shameless bastards, you dare to harm Big Sister like this? All of you can go and die. I will blow up the entire cruise ship and die with you." The female giant was furious and waved her hand. "Lao San, come here. Big Sister, I have always listened to you in the past. Today, I beg you to listen to me for once. These people are coming for us and want to destroy us. If you want to turn the situation around, you have to do something unjust for once. Otherwise, our raging flames is finished. Understood?" The female giant nodded her head abnormally seriously. She first stretched out her giant hand and patted One-Eyed Dragon's shoulder. "Lao San, all these years, you have quietly contributed to the group. I have seen it and am grateful. You have done well, I am very happy. But this time, you have done something stupid. I want to beat you up." She snatched the detonator and casually crushed it. Then, she slapped One-Eyed Dragon and sent him flying. Fresh blood spurted into the air. When One-Eyed Dragon painfully struggled to get up, the female giant ordered him to come over. Then, she backhanded him and slapped the other side of One-Eyed Dragon's face swollen. "Lao San, I want you to remember this. Even if you die, you must not change your nature. Do you understand what I am saying? As a man, if you are fickle, if you are a spineless coward, what's the point of being a man? As a man, you must have a character, you must have a backbone, you must have a tough bone, you must have a sense of responsibility, you must have the boldness to do great things. As a man, when facing any difficulties and predicaments in the world, you should not be angry, you must face them head-on. Only a brave and courageous man who does not lose his nature can be called a man. Do you understand? Those trash who kneel and surrender and bully the weak and fear the strong, are they even worthy of being called men? Pooey. Lao San, if you don't want to be a man, you can King Scram. In my chivalrous bandit group, even if there is only one man, it is still better than the whole group of trash." Yes. One-Eyed Dragon's face was covered in blood, but he tried his best to stand up straight. Using the loudest voice he had ever used in his life, he shouted, "Reporting to Big Sister, good hit, Lao San is not trash, Lao San is a man, he is unyielding." Along with One-Eyed Dragon, dozens of mercenaries who did not have families rushed out. Under the lead of the skinny mercenary, they lined up behind One-Eyed Dragon. As for those members who saw their loved ones being stabbed, they also wanted to stand together with one-eyed dragon. But when they saw the babies who were raised high up and were about to fall to the ground, they had no choice but to stop and close their eyes in pain, letting their hot tears flow down their faces. They did not step forward to stand together with one-eyed dragon, but all of them knelt down. They were like meat on the chopping block. What could they do? Yu Yang still maintained a smile on his face. Originally, Inan was very anxious. She wanted to help the female giant, but she did not have enough strength. She pulled Yu Yang, wanting to find his comfort. But when she saw his smile, her heart instantly calmed down. She believed in her lover, he would never disappoint her. He was the most outstanding man in the world, even in this kind of predicament, he would definitely have a way. At that time in the prison Emperor Divine Palace and the Death Arena, he still managed to obtain victory in the end. She believed that today would be the same. She believed in him more than she believed in herself. You want to negotiate? The female giant picked up the blue plague dragon nail and stabbed it into her shoulder. Her body that was as steady as a mountain suddenly swayed, but she quickly stabilized herself. She ignored the blood that stained her body, as if the plague dragon nail was stabbed into someone else's body. She looked coldly at the clown. I have destroyed one of my hands. Are you guys relieved now? ? Inan looked at Yu Yang worriedly. But Yu Yang waved his hand lightly, indicating that he should continue watching. Big sister is indeed big sister, you are really loyal. The clown gave a thumbs up. He spun the magic wand in his hand a few times and kicked the heavily injured Heaven Rank Ranker over, causing him to roll in front of the female giant. Let one go first. Wait for the Ox Clan brothers to put down their weapons and tie their hands, then we will let the old and children go. You must know, there are too many Heaven Rankers in Raging Flame Group. Other than Big Sister, there are still 2 unharmed people. Tie them up. The 2 not-so-outstanding Ox Clan brothers saw the female giant close her eyes and calmly stretched out their hands, allowing the 8 enemy Heaven Rank Rankers to use their tentacle dragon whiskers to tie their hands. Anyway, the opponent had double the number of Heaven Rank Rankers and their levels were higher. This battle would depend on how far Big Sister could negotiate. They could not help at all. If Big Sister wanted to fight with her life on the line, they would not care. They would definitely fight until the last drop of blood. But Big Sister did not choose to fight, so of course they would listen to her. You must know, ever since they met Big Sister, they had never disobeyed her orders. The female giant bent down and helped the heavily injured Heaven Rank Ranker up. Fu Tu, it has been hard on you. Leave the following battle to Big Sister. The heavily injured Heaven Rank Ranker was like a child as he hugged her legs and wailed loudly. You have already grown up, don't be like a child. If Big Sister is not here, you will have to lead everyone in the future. Do you understand? The female giant wanted to help the Heaven Rank Ranker called Fu Tu up. Suddenly, the bald wise demon marshal attacked. On the other side, Skeleton Man Rachel swung his scimitar as fast as lightning. But the fastest one was definitely the clown. His target was the already heavily injured Fu Tu. Be careful. One-Eyed Dragon warned, but it was already too late. A cold glint flashed across Yu Yang's eyes. He wanted to attack, but in an instant, he changed his mind and decided to continue watching. Because this was only the beginning of the battle, it was not the time for the truth to be revealed yet. He had to wait until the truth was completely revealed before he could attack. That would be the best time. The female giant swung her arm and forcefully blocked the clown's attack. Then, she used her brute strength to send the bald man and skeleton man flying. But, drops of fresh blood dripped onto the deck. Her face was filled with shock. The female giant never would have thought that the comrade she was protecting would actually sneak attack her at this moment. The other plague dragon nail had pierced deep into her abdomen. And the person who had ambushed her was actually the heavily injured Fu Tu. She had used her life to protect him, but what she got in return was a fatal nail. Chapter 6:14. The female giant's knees went soft and she almost fell onto the deck. But she clenched her teeth. Using willpower that was comparable to steel, she released an unparalleled strength and forcefully supported her weak knees, standing up straight again. The plague dragon nails that entered her shoulder and abdomen had already dyed her wounds blue with poison. Even if the female giant was a heaven-ranked level 5, it was hard for her to bear the pain when she encountered a treasure that naturally countered her. Clap, clap, clap. The clown used his elbow to hold the magic wand and clapped his hands proudly. Fu Tu. The two Ox Clan brothers whose hands were bound by the dragon whiskers were so angry that their eyes turned red. They crazily roared at their former comrade, Fu Tu. Big sister. One-Eyed Dragon and the rest wanted to rush forward to support the female giant, but she waved her arm and pushed them away. Strangely, the female giant did not get angry. Instead, she calmly asked Fu Tu, who was retreating in fear, "Why? If I leave, in the Raging Flame Bandit group, you are the most powerful and have the most potential. It will be yours sooner or later. Why did you collude with outsiders to plot against me? Which part of me did not treat you well? Don't worry, I won't kill you. If I were to kill someone like you, I would be dirtying my own hand. Now I just want to ask you one thing, why? Big sister, I don't want to die. They forced me to do this, I had no choice." Fu Tu cried out of shame. "Can you not make it sound so pitiful?" The clown laughed coldly. He used his long fingers to point at Fu Tu and mocked mercilessly. "Who is the one who caused this disaster? It's you. If you did not come to my territory with the intention of snatching the beauty I reserved, then you would not have been caught by me. If you were not so perverted, and wanted to kidnap the woman I was preparing to give to Wise Sage, I believe that Wise Sage would not have gotten into a conflict with Big Sister so easily. Fu Tu, in one sentence, you are the one who caused this disaster. After we captured you, who was the one who bowed down and surrendered, and even leaked the Raging Flame Group's latest hunting plan, letting us know about today's operation? You traitor! If you didn't tell us about the luxurious Starry Sky cruise, Marshal Long Xiang wouldn't have brought his troops here to rescue us. Fu Tu, not only did you betray us and tell on us, you even took the initiative to cooperate with us and killed your comrade, Deer Hunter, who was fighting alongside you. You even pretended to be seriously injured and used the Plague Dragon Nail to ambush Big Sis. Ha 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 ha, a scumbag like you is 10,000 times scumbag compared to me, who was chased out of Raging Flame because I didn't dare to face a strong enemy head-on. Big Sis, I have to say, you've made a mistake this time. You forced me. You forced me to do this." Fu Tu roared hysterically, but realized that the clown was ignoring him. He turned to the female giant and cried in remorse, "Big Sis, I reached heaven rank at such a young age. You also said that I have a lot of potential. I still have such a beautiful future ahead of me. I really don't want to die. They forced me. Brother Deer Hunter shouldn't have died, but he didn't listen to my advice and wanted to kill me. I had no choice. I didn't kill him. It was them who joined hands to kill him. I only listened to the clown's orders and chopped off his head. At that time, he was already dead. No matter if I chopped off Brother Deer Hunter's head or not, he was already dead. Also, ambushing you was also their order. If I didn't do that, they would have killed me. Big Sis, they have too many people, we can't win this battle, let's just surrender." "It's not us, it's you." One-Eyed Dragon spat. "From today onwards, we are no longer friends. We are no longer brothers with scumbags like you, but enemies. We won't rest until one of us is dead. I don't want to talk to idiots like you. You're not even heaven rank, what right do you have to speak? You lowly cannon fodder, what right do you have to say that I'm wrong? If it was you, wouldn't you do the same thing as me when you were captured? I believe you're even worse than me. One-Eyed Dragon, if it wasn't for what happened today, you would all be my subordinates. Big Sis said that she would pass her position to me in the future. Do you think I want to surrender? Fu Tu angrily roared at One-Eyed Dragon and the rest. I understand. Female giant nodded expressionlessly. Actually, it's not bad that something like this happened. At least we can see the true nature of people. I announce that the Raging Flame Bandit group is disbanded. From now on, there will no longer be a Raging Flame Bandit group in South Heaven Realm. Ox Family Brothers, I recommend you to serve under Lionheart King. Although Lionheart King is an enemy, he does things fairly. You won't lose out if you work for him. No, Big Sis, us brothers only serve you. If Big Sis doesn't live, then us brothers won't live either. Ox Family Brothers knelt on the deck. This is an order, I'm not asking for your opinions. Female giant roared like a bolt from the blue. Yes. Ox Family Brothers kowtowed a few times before standing up. They faced the crowd and shouted in unison. If Ox Family Brothers don't die today, we will definitely take revenge. Fu Tu, you'll be the first. Fu Tu's expression changed slightly, but he didn't say anything. Instead, he quietly retreated behind the clown. Long Xiang represents His Majesty Lionheart King to welcome Ox Family Brothers into our rank. You will be one of the 8 generals under me. You will be conferred the title of Baron and given a manor in the imperial capital. I will allow the 2 of you to not participate in this battle. That golden armor Marshal Long Xiang took in the Ox Family Brothers on the spot. Although the clown, skeleton man and bald man were unhappy, they didn't want to provoke the Lionheart King behind Long Xiang. He was a big shot in the Southern Heaven Realm. Actually, Long Xiang's willingness to let bygones be bygones and accept the Ox Family Brothers was within the clown's expectations. After all, Heaven rank rankers were highly sought after wherever they went. Thank you, Marshal. Ox Family Brothers originally planned to die, but now they decided to live because they wanted to take revenge. They understood Big Sis' intention. If they persisted, the whole group would die on the spot. She chose to fight on her own. Now, following behind her and dying in battle. Although it was the wish of the Ox Family Brothers, there was still one person who didn't die, and that was Fu Tu. This fellow was a Heaven rank. Other than the brothers, no one else could take revenge on him. Ox Family Brothers decided to live on temporarily and wait for their revenge to be taken before following Big Sis to hell. The 2 brothers looked at each other and nodded. They knelt down again and kowtowed to the female giant to bid farewell. Big Sis, we are leaving. We will come back to see Big Sis when we get our enemy's head. Ox Family Brothers knew very well what Big Sis's final outcome would be, which was to die in battle. They couldn't bear to see such an outcome and really wanted to die with her, but they had to bear more responsibilities. If they didn't survive, then Fu Tu, the clown, Rachel and Wise Demon Marshal would continue to act violently. Furthermore, Fu Tu would definitely kill all the original members of the Raging Flame Bandit group. With them around, Fu Tu would be in a constant state of anxiety. At the very least, he wouldn't dare to recklessly attack the surviving members. It was very easy to die in battle, and it would be a very satisfying death, but to persevere and live on for the sake of revenge was very difficult. Very bitter, the Ox brothers gnashed their teeth. Under the escort of the 6 Heaven-rank powerhouses, they forcibly held back their tears and howled at the sky like injured wolves. They immediately flew away from the cruise ship and left towards the east under the guidance of a team of Thunder Griffins. In order to take revenge, they were willing to temporarily submit to Lionheart King and give up on the idea of dying together with Big Sis. Are you guys leaving or not? The female giant looked at One-Eyed Dragon and the skinny mercenary. Big Sis, please let us stay. As a dignified bandit group leader, you can't die without a few soldiers. Moreover, we are all trash. Even if we wanted to surrender, no one would give us a chance. When One-Eyed Dragon said that, his companions beside him all laughed out loud. They all pulled out their weapons. Facing an enemy that was thousands of times their size, they were fearless. People who weren't even afraid of death. What else in the world could scare them? They were determined to die. What else in the world could stop them? Those bandits who were burdened by their families all lowered their heads in pain. They also wanted to fight with their lives, but they couldn't do it. Their loved ones were in the hands of the enemy. As long as they had the slightest bit of resistance, they would die. Most importantly, in the eyes of many bandits, they would definitely lose this battle. Even if they included the women, children, old and young, the enemy still outnumbered them by more than 10 times. No matter how hard they fought, it would be useless. They would only die in vain. Moreover, Big Sis already said that the chivalrous bandit group had already disbanded. Even she had given up on fighting, so what else was worth fighting for? Come. The female giant casually pulled out the plague dragon nails from her body and threw 2 bloody nails onto the deck. The bloody holes in her abdomen and shoulders spurted out a stream of blue and purple blood like a fountain. The female giant was expressionless, as if the injuries on her body belonged to someone else. She didn't even have the interest to bandage them up. She waved at the clown. "You guys come at me together. I want to see which unlucky coward will be the one to take my place. I don't dare to say if there are too many, but I can at least take down one. Let's see which one of you is unlucky." I have always been respectful towards Big Sis. How would I dare to make a move on Big Sis? You must be joking. The clown laughed evilly. That's right, I have always admired Leader Raging Flame. The skeleton man replied. Leader Raging Flame, don't be angry. Let's sit down and talk. If Leader Raging Flame is injured, you need to bandage it up a little. Ha! The bald wise demon marshal could be said to be extremely hypocritical. He knew that the female giant had been ambushed by the plague dragon nails and was heavily injured. The plague was acting up, but he still purposely delayed the time. He was prepared to wait until the poison of the plague dragon nails had completely erupted before making his move. The female giant took a deep breath. Her body gradually became bigger. She knew that she didn't have much time left and was prepared to fight to the death. Wait a minute. At this moment, Yu Yang suddenly stood up and said with a smile, I'm sorry, I have no intention of joining the fight between you guys. However, I happen to have something to discuss with this Leader Raging Flame. Please settle it later. Let me cut the queue. Actually, I won't waste too much of everyone's time. It's you? The clown's eyes revealed a thick killing intent. What are you looking for me for? The female giant was stunned by Yu Yang, who stood up. She immediately waved her hand and said, Brat, you are not a member of our chivalrous bandit group. Scram to the side. This has nothing to do with you. Why not? Yu Yang objected. You said that you would hold a wedding for us. Now that everyone is here to attend the wedding banquet, you want to shirk your responsibilities? Yes, sister can't go back on her words. Inan also smiled and nodded, cooperating with Yu Yang's words. Everyone present was shocked by Yu Yang and Inan's words. Could it be that this young couple was not afraid of death? Even if they didn't have anything to do with the Raging Flame Bandit group, they might have been killed by the Black Skeleton group and the Clown group. But now they actually dared to stand up and ignore so many heaven-ranked rankers. They even talked about a wedding. Were they tired of living? The female giant knew that Yu Yang and Inan were supporting her. She was extremely touched. Companions who had fought side by side for many years could not compare to strangers whom she had just met. She did not even know their names. They had only met once, but they bravely stood up to support her at the most dangerous time. The female giant took a deep breath and suppressed the heat in her heart. Using the most gentle voice, she said to Inan, Little sister, I can't hold a wedding for you now. But I wish you all the best. I hope that you two will be happy and safe forever. Inan held onto Yu Yang's hand. With his support, she was filled with confidence and courage. Facing countless rankers, Inan did not have any stage fright. Using a voice as clear as a spring, she beautifully said something that shocked everyone present. If it is not convenient for sister, then we are willing to help you a little. We will let the guests who are here to drink understand what kind of guests are welcomed. In our hometown, dishonest people usually deserve a beating. As long as we give them a beating, they will be honest. I think that this method will be the same here. Yu Yang gave her a thumbs up. After experiencing countless battles, Inan had become strong. If it was in the past, she would definitely not have such courage. It seemed that she was not the only one who had grown. Everyone was growing. Even Inan had grown into a fearless warrior. Seeing that his lover had improved so much, Yu Yang felt very gratified. The clown's eyes were terrifyingly cold. With a light wave of his hand, 4 Earth-ranked level 5 death warriors stood up, ready to tear Yu Yang and Inan into pieces. Just as Yu Yang was about to make a move, Inan smiled confidently and stopped him. "Leave these few to me. I'll leave the stronger ones to you. I'll take care of these few. Don't worry, Night Empress and Fourth Mother have taught us a very special technique. I haven't had the chance to show it to you. Now that I have your help, I want to try it and see my progress. Bing Air and I, as well as everyone else, have actually been working hard to cultivate. Today, let me prove myself." Inan did not leave Yu Yang's side. She would not rashly leave him, and would never give the enemy a chance to launch a sneak attack. Moreover, her spiritual attack ignored space and distance. She did not need to leave Yu Yang's side to be able to fight from afar. With the instantaneous summon, the platinum grimoire automatically floated in front of her, shining with a golden light. When the 4 Earth-ranked level 5 death warriors rushed over without a care for their own safety, Inan calmly summoned Spirit Mirror, hallucinatory butterfly demon, and her guardian beast, Little Fairy. However, she did not use the attack method that Yu Yang usually taught her like before. Instead, she used another method that Yu Yang had never seen before. She closed her eyes and stretched out her hands. Her posture was as beautiful as a flower swaying in the wind. All of her spiritual power miraculously formed a field. It was similar to a domain. But compared to the domain comprehended by an innate level 5, this field had a kind of magical willpower that was close to the power of the ancient code. Yu Yang was shocked when he saw it. He almost thought that Inan was using the power of the ancient code, but after sensing it, he found that it was not the case. It was a kind of willpower that was similar to the power of the ancient code. It was very powerful, and unlike the power of the ancient code that was difficult to control, it was completely controlled by Inan's mind. Colorful. Inan's body spun beautifully, and the spiritual power around her body instantly turned into petals, fluttering in all directions. The 4 Earth-ranked level 5 death warriors had just attacked Inan's head. At a distance of about half a meter, they were hit by the petals formed by the spiritual power. Those seemingly harmless petals ignored the defense of the death warriors' armor and strong physical bodies, and directly cut into their bodies. In an instant, the 4 death warriors' minds were annihilated. The power of their attacks was also absorbed by the beautiful petals, doubling the recoil. The 4 bodies that had become walking corpses were directly bounced 100 meters away. Although the 4 death warriors did not die, they had become walking corpses. Their thoughts and consciousness had completely disappeared, leaving only their flesh-like bodies. It could be said that this kind of defeat was 10 times more terrible than death. Seeing Inan's move, everyone's expression changed. The clown even screamed, "The power of the ancient code? What kind of power of the ancient code is this?" Chapter 6:15. For a weak human like Inan to kill 4 Earth-ranked level 5 death warriors in one move. Everyone was shocked. Let alone the ordinary bandits, even the Thunder Griffin Knights, which were like iron fortresses, showed signs of wavering and a slight disturbance. A super-rank instant kill was definitely a heavy blow to their morale. And everyone could see that this weak human girl, actually had a platinum grimoire. What kind of concept was this? How many heaven rankers did not have grimoires? Even if they did, they were not able to upgrade it to platinum rank. But this human girl was actually able to upgrade her grimoire to platinum rank at Earth-ranked level 1. If it continued to upgrade, wouldn't it be upgraded to Diamond Grimoire or even Holy Grimoire? Female giant looked at Nan dumbfoundedly, completely unable to believe it. Although she had the strength of heaven-ranked level 5, she did not have a summoning grimoire. The little girl in front of her was so weak that she could die with a single breath. But this little girl had a summoning grimoire. She could still reluctantly accept that this little girl had a summoning grimoire. After all, this little girl had great potential. It was not strange that she could contract a grimoire. What she couldn't accept the most was that the summoning grimoire in the hands of this frail-looking little girl had actually leveled up to platinum ranked. It was obvious that she had gone through countless battles and was definitely not as weak as she looked on the surface. The problem was, no matter how strong an Earth-ranked level 1 was, it was impossible for her to kill 4 Earth-ranked level 5 death warriors in one move. Could an ant bite 4 lions to death? That's impossible. No, that is not the power of the law. We did not feel any pressure and the 4 of them could still attack. That proves that it is a very special kind of energy. The bald wise demon marshal stroked his round head and came to a conclusion with an extremely ugly face. This little girl can fight beyond her level, and she will definitely die in close combat. Since close combat is not possible, let's use long range. A cold light flashed in the clown's eyes. He pointed with his extremely long finger. Another 4 Earth-ranked level 5 godly archers stood out. The 4 of them spread out to a distance of 100 meters, drew their bows and aimed at Nan. Yu Yang realized that this bald man, wise demon marshal, was actually quite smart. He immediately found the weakness of Nan's energy field. The drawback was that this energy field with strong willpower was too small. It was only effective within 10 meters of Nan. Due to the high concentration of spiritual power, it could even transform into flower petals. Therefore, even Nan, who had the strongest spiritual power, could only control an energy field that was no more than 10 meters in diameter. If it was Yu Bing, it might only be 1 or 2 meters. Of course, the advantages of this energy field were also very obvious. Similar to the power of the natural order, it was an almost invincible existence in the 10-meter energy field. Before Anand's spiritual power was exhausted, the enemy could not hurt her at all. Unless he had the power of the heaven rank, he could directly destroy the energy field condensed by Anand's mind power. How much power would that require? It was probably impossible for a normal heaven rank. It had to be heaven rank level 3 and above. Furthermore, it had to be an intelligent heaven rank ranker with super strong spiritual power. It was not a monster that was born with the power of heaven rank. Yu Yang used Heaven Eye's divine vision to observe the enemies. He realized that the only people who had the confidence to destroy this energy field were the bald man, wise demon marshal, and the clown. The golden armor Marshal Long Xiang and skeleton man Rachel frowned. They did not have full confidence. What secret technique did Night Empress and Fourth Mother teach Anan and the rest? It actually allowed her to possess such a powerful spiritual energy field. Did Anan alone possess it, or did Princess Sisai and the rest all have it? All of them had this kind of energy field, or were there other types of energy fields? The more Yu Yang thought about it, the more he felt that Night Empress and Fourth Mother were mysterious. Especially Fourth Mother. She obviously did not have any fighting power. Even with Heaven Eye's divine vision, she was just a normal person. However, her performance was becoming more and more mysterious. Fourth Mother, what was her real identity? Yu Yang definitely did not believe that Fourth Mother was a normal person. However, if she did not say it, Yu Yang had no way to ask her for confirmation. He could only pretend that he did not know. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. 4 sharp arrows that were as fast as lightning shot towards Enan, bringing with them a deadly stream of light, dragging long flaming tails behind them. No one present believed that Enan would be able to take on these 4 deadly arrows. An Earth rank level 1 human girl being shot by 4 Earth rank level 5 sharpshooter, the result was obvious. This kind of sharpshooter was used to kill on the battlefield. They could usually shoot and kill warriors of a higher rank than themselves. This was because they could condense all of their energy into one arrow. Once the arrow was shot, it was unparalleled. Yu Yang did not move. That female giant seemed to want to come over and slap the arrow away. However, seeing that Yu Yang did not have any intention of making a move, she forcefully endured it. Enan unhurriedly stretched out her arms. The brilliant spirit mirror blocked in front of her. When all the enemies thought that the arrows would collide with the spirit mirror and cause an earth-shattering explosion, an extremely strange scene occurred. Those arrows that could pierce through the iron wall and were unstoppable disappeared without a sound. It was as if they had never appeared in the world. Even the clown, skeleton man Rachel, Baldy Wise Demon Marshall, and the others stared with their eyes wide open. They could not find where the arrows were. Returning mirror. Enan pointed her jade-like finger and turned the spirit mirror in a circle. The light was bright and extremely dazzling. The deadly arrows appeared once again. However, the direction they were flying towards had changed. Furthermore, they were not by Enan's side. Instead, they were shot out from the light screen of the spirit mirror in Enan's hands. Under the dumbfounded gazes of the 4 god archers who had no reaction at all, the light streaked across the sky like meteors, dragging long flaming tails, and instantly pierced through the foreheads of the 4 god archers. Without any struggle, the 4 sharpshooters fell straight onto the deck. Instant kill. Everyone was in an uproar. However, in Yu Yang's eyes, Enan's returning mirror was not strange at all. Not to mention the special skill of the spirit mirror, not to mention Enan's mental energy field, even Lei Shinshi, who was still an innate level 10 in the prison Emperor Divine Palace, was unable to harm Enan from a distance even with the black light in his hands. Actually, Enan was truly invincible in long-range combat. She was actually the weakest in close-range combat. Yu Yang guessed that it was because of this that Night Empress and Fourth Mother taught her to use a mental energy field that was similar to the power of the ancient code to protect herself. Again, I don't believe that you can kill a few levels higher than you. The clown was furious and waved his hand sinisterly. This time, the ones who stood out were 2 monsters. 2 monsters that looked like fleas were exactly the same. They carried a round shield on their back, held short claws in their hands, and on their elbows, there was a special structure of blood thorns. The flea monsters jumped high into the sky, leaping 100 meters high. Stepping on the void, they could still jump continuously, and the more they jumped, the faster they jumped. In the end, it was impossible to see where they were, and they completely disappeared without a trace. Most importantly, their strength was at Earth Stage Level 7. Compared to those Earth Stage Level 5 Death Warriors and Sharpshooters, any one of them could easily slaughter them. The clown thought that although this weak human girl could kill enemies higher than her level, there was definitely a limit. It was impossible to exceed her by too much. Even killing an Earth Stage Level 5 was already incredible. Could she kill an Earth Stage Level 7? Even if she could, she would probably do her best, right? In the Clown Thief Guild, how many Earth Stage Level 7 were there? There were at least 3,000. How many could she kill? What the clown was most confident about was the jumping ability of the Flea brothers. They were as fast as the wind, and it was impossible for them to use tricks like revolving mirror or colorful. In other words, their fighting style was extremely cruel, completely different from the close combat and long-range sniping just now. Not to mention attacking, it was impossible for the opponent to even defend, because she couldn't find the Flea brothers in the midst of jumping. As long as she made a wrong judgment and revealed a slight flaw, then it would be her death, because the Flea brothers were the best at finding weaknesses. Spirit Mirror Reveal. The spirit mirror in Anand's hand shone brightly. Suddenly, the light retracted and firmly shone on the two shadows that were jumping wildly in the sky. No matter how fast the two shadows were, they couldn't be faster than the light of the spirit mirror in Anand's hand. The two shadows became faster and faster, and the afterimages in the sky turned into dozens of shadows, exactly the same as the original body. With the naked eye, it was impossible to tell which one was real and which one was fake. One could only see one suddenly appear, and the other suddenly disappear. Even more, they were doing all kinds of actions. However, a meticulous person would be able to find a clear and traceable pattern. That was, the two pillars of light shot out by the spirit mirror would always shine on the two shadows. No matter how they moved, whether they appeared or disappeared, there would always be two pillars of light connecting the shadows, and it was impossible to escape from its direction. Soul absorption. Anand stretched out her hand and pointed towards the spirit mirror from afar. Her actions were extremely beautiful, but the two shadows that were illuminated by the light were involuntarily dragged out. Void slid towards the surface of the spirit mirror. The Flea brothers wanted to break free from the light, but they realized that it was impossible. This was because this kind of pulling was within the soul, and their bodies were not under their control at all. The only thing they could do was to increase their struggle in the slow pulling speed, and try to create more resistance to slow down the pulling speed. Furthermore, they continuously gathered their strength, preparing to launch a thunderous attack at close range. The clown, skeleton man Rachel, the bald wise demon Marshall and the golden armor Marshall Long Xiang's expressions changed greatly. This kind of soul pulling made them feel fear. Luckily, this kind of soul pulling was very slow. Furthermore, this kind of soul pulling could only be done after the spirit mirror appeared and was illuminated by the light. Only after confirming that there was no way to struggle could this kind of soul pulling be done. Otherwise, this kind of special skill would be the nightmare of all heaven rankers. I'll fight you to the death. The Flea brothers saw that the situation was not good, and decided to self-destruct. Anand pointed, and the hallucination butterfly demon sprayed out a rainbow-colored pollen. The two Flea brothers who had raised their full strength and were prepared to fight Anand to the death instantly became zombies at the mercy of others. Their entire bodies were paralyzed, and they could not even blink, let alone move their fingers. Their explosive power caused the colorful flower petals that Anand released with her mental power to completely disappear. A gust of beautiful flower petals blew past, and the bulging bodies of the Flea brothers rapidly withered. The hallucination butterfly demon grabbed with both hands, and a dazzling red light flashed in her palms. The energy in the blood of the Flea brothers surged out under the absorption of her palms, condensing into two balls of blood. Even though they were Earth rank level 7, the Flea brothers rapidly dropped due to the depletion of energy in their bodies and the loss of energy in their blood. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, they continued to drop from Earth rank level 7. Earth rank level 6, Earth rank level 5, the hallucination butterfly demon waved out another gray pollen, blinding the eyes of the Flea brothers. In an instant, the Flea brothers seemed to have seen the most terrifying thing in the world. The muscles on their bodies twitched wildly, and their pupils dilated. Finally, they broke free from their paralyzed state, and used their sharp claws to frantically tear at their faces, as if there was something terrifying gnawing on their faces. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the Flea brothers tore off their faces, and then ruthlessly smashed their heads. Before dying, one of the Flea brothers seemed to feel that even using his fist was too slow, so he directly took out a big hammer and smashed his head into pieces. Now, people no longer looked at Anand with doubt in their eyes, but fear. Many people were not afraid of death, but they were afraid of such a terrifying way of dying. Earth rank level 7, directly played to death by someone, played to death without being able to fight back. Wasn't this too tragic? Mirror world shatter. Inan suddenly clenched her fist, and the spirit mirror in front of her let out a crisp, shattering sound. The surface was incomparably smooth, but the world inside the mirror was completely shattered. No one understood why she did this, but the answer immediately came out. There were two transparent figures, just 3 meters behind Inan and Yu Yang. They were about to attack, but suddenly froze and revealed themselves. They fell to the ground and died at the same time. When the mirror world shattered, their souls would be captured by the spirit mirror, and they would die from the weakness in their hearts. Outsiders would never understand how they died, but the people who died would bear the spirit law of the Virgo Temple of the 12 golden palaces of Tong Tian Tower. Damn it, this is the true power of the spirit law. The clown trembled with anger. He had never been so angry in his life. This weak woman actually had a spirit mirror that could execute the power of the spirit law. Although this power of the spirit law was very limited, and it was only a kind of spiritual attack to protect the owner, even so, it was still the power of the spirit law, and it was also the power of the spirit law that could not be resisted. In other words, if he wanted to kill this woman, unless his mind was flawless, both sides would definitely suffer, and he would definitely be punished by the spirit mirror's protective law. The two people he secretly sent to sneak attack died from the weakness in the mind, and died silently. Whether it was the black skeleton group, the clown group, or the crew or passengers, they were all scared and ran far away from Inan. It was too scary. This human woman was simply the grim reaper that controlled the mind. However, Inan, who was as scary as the grim reaper in other people's eyes, threw herself into Yu Yang's arms. She, who had used up a lot of her mental energy, hugged his waist with both hands and buried her head in his arms. She muttered tiredly, "I'm sorry, I can only fight to this extent at the moment. Next, I need to rest for a while, and I can only watch you fight alone." "It's okay. Your improvement has already far exceeded my expectations. I'm very surprised. Baby, have a good rest, I'm here for everything." Yu Yang gently stroked Inan's hair, and his face revealed an unusually gratified smile. It turned out that Inan, who he was most worried about, no longer needed to worry about this little girl. She had already grown to the extent where she could take charge of things on her own. Chapter 6:16. When Yu Yang stood out, Inan took a few steps back. Although the wedding gown didn't fit her, she still wrapped a white veil around her neck like a silk scarf. There were tens of thousands of enemies around them, and tens of thousands of strangers. They were in Heaven Realm, not her hometown, but Inan still hoped to marry him and be his bride. The wedding dress and ceremony were all fleeting. As long as their hearts were connected, even hell would become heaven. She hoped that she could stand behind him as a bride. Support him. Support her own husband. Facing tens of thousands of enemies, charging forward. Such a great hero was her lover. "No matter what you do, I will support you." As Inan looked at Yu Yang, she recalled all the things that they had met in the past. Her heart was brimming with happiness, making her whole body feel warm. She nodded towards him with determination and confidence. "I will be right here, watching you, waiting for you. Whether it is today or in the future, whether it is Heaven Realm or anywhere else, I will always be by your side." "All right." Yu Yang didn't say much. He reached out his hand and caressed her soft black hair. Lowering his head, he turned around and half-hugged her, kissing her petal-like tender lips. He kissed her lightly. He smiled at her. He turned around confidently and faced the tens of thousands of enemies with his crescent moon sword. His words were very simple, but the meaning was clear. "I will only say one thing, those who want to drink the wedding wine, stay. Those who don't want to drink, scram. Those who want to cause trouble, ask the sword in my hand." If not for Inan's shocking performance, Yu Yang's words would have made everyone laugh until their stomachs burst. An Earth Realm Level 1 human who was as weak as an ant, facing tens of thousands of enemies who were stronger than him, still dared to boast shamelessly? Did this brat not know how to write the word death? Was he crazy, or was there something wrong with his brain? However, after Anand's shocking instant kill, everyone started to feel that this brat was not a simple person. His strength should be above that woman's. No one dared to respond to Yu Yang. Heaven Ranked did not speak. If an ordinary person were to reply casually, it would be too much of a waste if this brat killed Li Wei with a single slash. Actually, if it wasn't for the fact that they couldn't see through Yu Yang's abilities, the clown, skeleton man Rachel, and the wise demon Marshall would have already gone berserk. However, this human kid was very strange. No one could see through his strength. The clown and the others felt that they had to proceed with caution in order to not cause any trouble. In any case, stalling for time was more beneficial to them. This duke loves to drink young people's wedding wine the most, so I have to stay and ask for a cup. Skeleton Man Rachel looked at the clown and decided to stand up and do something. Otherwise, he wouldn't even get a share of the profits after the battle. First, it used its finger bones to pry open the loosened gums and rearranged the crooked teeth. Then, it took out a snow-white silk handkerchief and wiped its hands like a noble gentleman. Behind it, 2 bandit leaders walked out. Both of them were at Earth Rank Level 8 and had an extraordinary bearing. Regardless of strength or rank, they were quite outstanding among the enemies. Where's the wine? We also want to drink a cup. Although the 2 bandit leaders looked relaxed, they were secretly on guard against Yu Yang's sudden attack. You want to drink my wedding wine? Yu Yang laughed coldly. You guys are not worthy. While this sentence was still lingering in people's ears, his body moved and shot towards one of the bandit leaders. These 2 bandit leaders were battle-hardened and had rich battle experience. Once they saw Yu Yang's attack, they immediately split into 2 sides. The bandit leader that Yu Yang charged towards immediately swung his giant axe and faced Yu Yang head-on. The other bandit leader slyly took a detour and charged towards Anan, preparing to ambush Anan and rescue the besieged by besieging Yu Yang. The female giant seemed to want to make a move, but she saw Anan's relaxed expression. She completely ignored the incoming enemy and did not even put up any defense, showing her strong confidence in Yu Yang. She suppressed the urge to save Yu Yang and continued to observe the situation. Not only her, all the heaven rankers present, including the secretly angry clown, the arrogant Long Xiang, the disgusting skeleton man and the cunning wise demon Marshall, were all watching quietly. Their gazes were firmly fixed on Yu Yang, intending to use this battle to see through all his trump cards. A normal person's eyes would not be able to see clearly. They only saw a figure flash past. Only in the eyes of a heaven-ranked ranker, such a change could be seen. Yu Yang, who originally only had the speed and strength of an Earth-ranked Level 1, instantly increased by 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. His original speed, which was as slow as a snail, continued to accelerate and in the end, accelerated to 100 times faster than lightning. In comparison, the axe-wielding leader, who was originally as fast as lightning, became extremely slow, like a pitiful snail. Before he could swing his axe, Yu Yang had already appeared in front of him. Moreover, he instantly passed through his body and made a perfect turn, easily catching up to the leader who ambushed Anan. That leader seemed to feel that something was wrong and hurriedly looked back. There was nothing behind him. When he turned his head, he suddenly realized that Yu Yang was standing in front of him, as if he had never left Anan's side. Skeleton Man Rachel did not even need to look to know that his 2 subordinates were finished. But when he looked, he was even more shocked. This was because he realized that this brat killed his 2 subordinates above his level. It was not as simple as killing, but torturing them. The axe-wielding leader still did not know that the enemy had passed through his body and swung his axe. Immediately, his entire body became countless pieces of meat. His armor, skin, flesh, and bones were all thrown into the air and scattered on the ground with the strength of the axe. If one had the eyesight of a heaven ranker, they would be able to see that this axe-wielding leader's entire body had been perfectly cut by Yu Yang. His bones, skin, and flesh were completely peeled off, not even a single muscle or bone was injured. Even the best chef in the world would not be able to cut a cow with a knife. However, an Earth Rank Level 1 human dismembered an Earth Rank Level 8 expert into pieces under the watchful eyes of tens of thousands of people. This kind of technique, if it was not done by the enemy, the clown and skeleton man would definitely clap their hands in praise. But now, their mouths were as if they had eaten bitter gall. They were so bitter that they could not speak. The other bandit leader, who wanted to ambush Nan but failed, was so scared that he hurriedly retreated. He retreated all the way to Skeleton Man Rachel's side before patting his chest in surprise, indicating that he was safe. That slap was incredible. In an instant, a red mark appeared on his neck. It was extremely small, almost invisible at first, but gradually became a red line. Then, it collapsed and became a waterfall of blood that could not be covered. In the end, under everyone's horrified gazes, this bandit leader patted his chest. At the same time that he wanted to cover his wound, the head on his neck silently fell to the ground and rolled a few meters away. The headless body, blood spurting out from the neck, and the panicked gesture of his hand trying to cover his wound made people's hair stand on end. It seemed that this guy did not know that he had been beheaded until he died. The leader of the Black Skeleton group, Skeleton Man Rachel, was also an expert with a knife. With the heart rend in his hand, it was not difficult to perform this kind of beheading and dismemberment. But he admitted that he could not be as carefree as Yu Yang. Under the gaze of tens of thousands of people and the pressure of several heaven rankers, he was still able to kill and cut the enemy with ease. Just this point alone was not something that Skeleton Man Rachel could replicate with a knife. To a certain extent, Skeleton Man Rachel admired an enemy like Yu Yang. Because in terms of using a knife, Yu Yang had already turned killing into an art. This was not something he could do. The clown could no longer turn the magic wand in his hand. He gripped it tightly, his knuckles turning white because of the excessive force. What a fast knife! The golden armor Marshal Long Xiang, who had been standing proudly on the dragon's head, suddenly flew up and landed lightly on the deck. He seemed to have realized that Yu Yang was a rare opponent and was interested in having a showdown with him. That guy made 3,600 cut. But I prefer the perfect cut on this guy's neck. The bald wise demon Marshal caressed his shiny skull and observed carefully between the two corpses. He then picked up a piece of minced meat and threw it into his mouth. After chewing a few times he came to a conclusion. Sigh, I understand now. The meat is cold, so the blood will not flow out. This guy made use of the ice attribute of the treasured blade in his hand. That perfect cut also used ice to temporarily connect the neck and the head, so it will not fall when he moves. But the amount used was very little and the control of the fire was very good. That's why we saw him hit his chest and his head fell off. I have to say, this move is too awesome. In the future, when I kill people, I will definitely use the perfect cut. It is too skillful. Skeleton Man immediately expressed that this move was very cool and he wanted to learn how to use it. That's right, this is a consummate skill. The golden armor Marshal Long Xiang nodded in agreement. Are you guys done? What we need to do now is not to discuss about the perfect cut. Skill is nothing in front of absolute power. What we need to do now is to kill this guy and get rid of this potential threat. The clown screamed crazily. It should be very difficult for a normal person to kill him. Wise Demon Marshal frowned. He felt that they should send out a heaven ranker. Please let me try. A Sky Knight jumped down from the Thunder Griffin. He was one of the silver armor generals behind Long Xiang. He had the power of an Earth rank level 9. If it was during normal times, An Earth Rank Level 9 Sky Knight fighting against an Earth Rank Level 1 commoner would be considered bullying. But now, everyone felt that this Sky Knight's action was worthy of praise. Because no one thought highly of him. Even if he was a Sky Knight, even if he was an Earth Rank Level 9, even if he was wearing a Platinum-ranked silver armor with super strong defense, no one in the audience felt that he could win. One-Eyed Dragon and the Skinny Man were starting to get used to Anan and Yu Yang's ability to kill enemies who were stronger than them. They secretly started to gamble. They did not bet on who would win or lose, because they felt that Yu Yang would definitely win. Killing the enemy was just a matter of time. The Skinny Man felt that it would end in a minute, while One-Eyed Dragon bet that it would only take 30 seconds. Long Xiang's always arrogant face changed. He became a little hesitant. He knew his subordinate's special ability. He was not afraid of any kind of physical injury. No matter how many pieces of flesh he was cut into, he could immediately reform and return to his original form. He was not afraid of being beheaded either. As long as he picked up the leader and placed it on his body, he would be able to return to his original state. Even if his subordinate had this kind of rebirth ability, Long Xiang did not think that he could defeat this young man. Because this guy was too strange. So many heaven rankers were staring at him, but no one could see through him. What kind of existence was this guy? Long Xiang was really not sure. Please enlighten me. When Marshal Long Xiang was thinking, the Sky Knight thought that he had silently agreed. He confidently walked up to the stage and walked in front of Yu Yang. He raised the knight's sword above his head and slightly saluted Yu Yang. Then, he started to prepare for battle. It could be said that everything about him was perfect. No matter if it was his aura, confidence or attitude, he was not weaker than others. His strength and body condition were raised to the peak. He also put on the best defensive posture. If it was another opponent, even if it was an Earth Rank Level 10 ranker, he might not be able to break through his defense. Scram! Yu Yang's move was very simple but unexpected. He casually raised a fire whip and lashed it on the Sky Knight's body. The Sky Knight's body was not injured at all. He was only sent flying 10 meters away. At first, he slowly stood up, as if he wanted to show that his body was fine and that he still wanted to fight. But very quickly, his body started to tremble violently, as if he was enduring an unimaginable pain. Sweat the size of beans seeped out from his forehead. He clenched his teeth and a trace of blood seeped out. Under the horrified gaze of tens of thousands of people, the Sky Knight trembled and slowly knelt down. Both of his hands deeply grabbed onto the deck, trying to endure the pain that was tormenting his body. But it was useless. A ball of flame spurted out from his mouth and nose. Heaven rank rankers could see that the fire came from his internal organs. Then, the Sky Knight's endurance collapsed. His painful howl resounded through the sky. Ah, ah, ah. Ah, the Sky Knight who did not even frown when a knife cut his flesh, the proudest Sky Knight under Lionheart King, who was known to have iron will, actually knelt in front of the enemy and howled miserably. This was definitely the first time in the history of South Heaven Realm. The Sky Knight had actually been enduring, but he could not endure it at all, because he felt that the pain was not only physical pain, but also mental and soul whip. Even if his internal organs were not on fire, he would not be able to endure it. To be able to endure for more than 10 seconds without groaning. He had already surpassed ordinary people. This was the limit of his iron will. Hearing the miserable howl of the Sky Knight, all the knights of the Thunder Griffin Sky Knight Regiment turned pale with fright. They really could not imagine what kind of blow it was for an Sky Knight to be unable to endure such pain. Long Xiang's expression also changed drastically. He looked at Yu Yang with a new gaze. But he could not see through anything. This young man was as mysterious as a riddle. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.